Warning, the following podcast contains spoilers, so if you don't want to know that Ben takes a bullet right between the eyes, stop listening now.
The International House of Horror.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the International House of Horror podcast, a low-budget podcast for low-budget horror movies. I'm your host, Rocco, a.k.a. the Mad Pancaker, and across from me is none other than my co-host, Scary Perry.
Hello there.
How you doing over there, Scary Perry?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ready to dive into this week's hotcakes?
Yes.
And for first-time listeners, Hotcakes is our catch-all opening segment where we talk about recent horror movies we've been watching, horror memorabilia we've collected, and other errors, omissions, etc.
Yes,
so,
sir. First
first off, to go back to our Slaughter High episode from the last episode, this is not like an error or omission. This is like a fun fact that I learned after the fact. Apparently, the exterior of the school was also used in an Adam Ant music video.
Yes. I had that. I read that and I forgot it.
I would have been perfect to mention. If I would have known that, I could have made Adam Ant horror movie references, just like I made Tony Basil horror movie references.
When you found that after, I got scolded by you.
And surprisingly, there's more than one Adam Ant horror movie.
And I got scared when you scolded me, and I hid in Delores' trunk.
Oh, it would have been so great.
It's scary.
Oh, I got some stuff to talk about Delores here.
Don't go into her trunk again. I think we got to stay out of her trunk.
Oh, and this is another one that I was mad about that I completely forgot to make the connection. There is a skip in both Slaughter High and April Fool's Day, a character named Skip. Like, as I'm editing the episode, I'm just like, motherfuck, there's a character named Skip in both movies. I was like, how did I not remember that when I was recording and making notes?
I mean, that's a lot of information.
And I'm just like, the connection went even deeper. If you haven't listened to our Slaughter High episode, go back and listen to it. But Slaughter High was originally going to be called April Fool's Day, but they found out there's another movie called April Fool's Day coming out, so they changed their name.
I have a correction.
Sure.
So before, I forget which movie you bought, but it had Tracy Lords in it.
Oh, no, I watched it. Skinner.
Yeah, Skinner, okay.
Yeah, we talked. I think that was last episode.
Yeah, it was last episode.
Yes.
Because, she transcended from porn star to actor. And I mentioned in the movie Would You Rather, and I said Riley Reid. It's not Riley Reid. She's still a porn star. It's Sasha Grey who transgendered.
Oh, Sasha Grey. Yeah. I knew she was out of the business for a little bit. Why do you know so much about porn stars?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Anyways, moving on. So I guess I'll kick things off with some movies watched. So first up on the list, we have Seven Blood-Stained Orchids, 1972 giallo. Watch this one over on the good old Tubi, where you can find like so many movies. The basic premise of it is, after surviving an attempt on her life, a woman and her fiancé try to solve other connected murders. It's got a decent plot and reveal, and with a fair amount of suspense. It's kind of a solid, although rather routine, giallo, but it is from famed Italian director Umberto Lenzi. It's got some good cinematography and kills, though, to it, so I gave it 3 pancakes. I would definitely recommend checking it out. And I wish I had a little more detail to write on this book, just because that description doesn't tell me too much about it. And as I'm trying to remember, I remember the blood-stained orchids. Okay, it's got something to do with a medallion, I think, unless I'm getting these confused. It's very easy to get these giallos confused because they all have very similar convoluted titles that don't really tell you much about the movie. So throw it over there to you, Scary Perry. Talk about a movie you watched recently.
We actually watched this one.
Oh, yes, we did.
This is called The Lift, 1983 movie. It's a Dutch film, and it's about a killer elevator. Because a lift in different countries is an elevator. They call it a lift.
Proof that you can take anything and make it into a monster movie.
I really enjoyed it.
Look, this microphone's coming to life. I
really enjoyed it. It was a bit long. There's parts where it doesn't have a lot of action because the actor Hub Sapel, he's your protagonist. He's trying to investigate what's going on. I'm not going to spoil the ending of how this thing's a killer elevator, but this is a really good, I guess it's a monster movie.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's a little weird because the monster can't go anywhere, so you could just be like, well, why don't I just leave and never come back to this elevator type deal?
And it's got a good score, and the director is, his name is Dick Moss. And
so what did you think about Dick Moss's directing in this movie, Perry?
Well, it was great. I do like Dick. Hit that button again. Hit it again. I do like Dick.
Right. Yeah. So this was an interesting one. It's been on my radar for a while, as along with all those other ridiculous killer inanimate object type movies like Deathbed, The Bed That Eats. That's another fun one, weird one. It's very good in the beginning where, it has the opening scene, type deal and like some of the early kills. And the ending, that it picks back up. But like the middle, if I remember, it's just kind of like a slog. Like nothing kind of happens in this middle as they're investigating. It's just kind of boring.
Like a kill here and there.
It reminds me a little bit of... did I talk about this last episode? Because I feel like, unless I'm just talking about a different movie. Oh, no, that's right. I talked about it because Angelina O'Neill, whatever her name is, she was in Sorority House Massacre, and then I brought up Vicious Lips that she's also in, where the beginning's great, the ending's great, but the middle is like, So that was The Lift. All right, back over to me for...
I gave it a 4 out of 5 cannolis.
I forget what I gave it. It's probably coming up in here somewhere, so...
I actually enjoyed it, but,
I think I gave it
I recommend watching
2.5 or a 3, just because it's like, that middle part's just a slog.
There's a slog.
Like, it's one of those movies where you wish, like, the entire thing was great and it'd be better, but...
Yeah.
Or just trim down and be like, the ending and the beginning and the ending only, and just leave out the middle part.
I thought it was like, unique and original, so...
And if I get into it in my notes, I'll find what I wrote down for it.
Gotcha.
Next up, I watched Nothing Underneath from 1985, again on good old Tubi. So this is another Giallo, late era Giallo, obviously. The Giallo kind of fizzled out towards the end of the 70s, but there's still some fine examples in the 80s. A brother teams up with Donald Pleasance, who's an inspector, to catch a killer after he senses his twin sister's murder. An excellent late Giallo. While not heavy on effects, it has great cinematography, a thrilling score, and ample suspense. It's got a really good ending, good little twist to it. I did put down that it is kind of weird, though, because it takes place in... I think it takes place in Milan. It definitely takes place in Italy, and kind of goes into like the fashion world and like the seedy underworld of the fashion world, because his sister's a model. But Donald Pleasance is an inspector there, so, he lives in that area, so he's an Italian, so I'm like, Donald Pleasance pasta face, ? It's got your typical Italian sleaze to it because, sexy models, people naked and all that stuff. But I really loved it. Great acting, of course. Great ending. I gave it 4.5 pancakes. Definitely worth a watch. Send it back over to you for if you got any more movies watched, hotcakes, Perry.
Yeah, I do. So the day after we watched The Lift, I watched the American remake of it called Down. It's still directed by Dick Moss.
Oh, that poster looks like it says The Shaft.
So yes, when it was released on DVD, they renamed it The Shaft.
Sounds like a better name, to be honest.
But there's Shaft, Like
well, still. You throw the in front
Down,
of it.
Yeah, I don't know. But it came out...
Can we get a Shaft versus The Shaft movie?
Yeah. It's a... So it was released in 2001. To some pretty big name actors and actresses. Naomi Watts is in it. Michael Ironside. Ron Perlman. He keeps coming up all the time.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be pretty horrible, but it's more streamlined, and there's more action, so there isn't that, lull.
That lull in the middle?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
While I like it, some of the acting was cheesy.
It's par for the territory.
But it was actually good, so I actually recommend watching it. I gave it a 3.
Okay.
A solid 3 out of 5 cannolis. And I'd recommend watching both.
Yeah, that's cool.
The first one, the original is going to lull you a little bit, but it's not like that horrible lull.
Gotcha.
But all right, that's another one down for me.
All right, back to me. So up next, I watched Unmasked Part 25, also known as The Hand of Death Part 25, Jackson's Back, 1988. So this is a slasher parody. So hockey mask killer Jackson, wink wink Jackson, falls in love with a kinky blind woman and tries to change his murderous ways. A fun slasher parody with clever and solid effects for a low-budget film. I had a blast with this one. It's another one of those very meta... I mean, parodies are kind of meta anyways, as opposed to a horror movie that, like Scream, that is just a horror movie that's meta. But it's very meta, a lot of fun. Bit predictable, but it's still a fun time, you know what you're getting into. It does have a bit of a dry British sense of humor because I think it was a British film. The main guy definitely has like a British accent to it. But I gave it a 4 out of 5 pancakes. Definitely recommend watching it. And back over to you, Scary Perry. Have you got any more movies watched?
We have stuff in between our takes, a little time lapses. So on the 4th of July, I decided I wanted to watch a 4th of July inspired horror film. So I watched
You bit the bullet.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
1996.
It's been on my radar. I've been kind of wanting to watch it, but
it's a slasher comedy horror, okay? You want to talk about lull? This whole movie is a lull. I don't even know why I watched it.
I've seen reviews of it. It definitely seems strange. I don't know if it's so bad it's good, but
there's
I'll have to check it out sooner or later.
2 kills in this movie, I swear. I don't even remember. This movie has like Isaac Hayes in it and Robert Forster, and it makes them look bad. It has really garbage
everybody needs a paycheck, right?
Garbage special effects, and there's so much dialogue that goes nowhere. Yeah, I absolutely did not like this movie. I gave it a 0.5 star out of 5. Would not recommend watching.
Gotcha. That's quite understandable. I forget what people I've watched reviewed said about it, but it's been on my radar. Sooner or later, I have to knock it off the list and watch it. So up next, I watched Knife of Ice from 1972. So this is another giallo kick. The premise of it is those close to a mute woman, played by Carol Baker, are murdered. Is it the work of a Satanist or someone else? It's a bit slow even by giallo standards and light on kills, but it made up for by a great twist ending. This is the 4th and final collaboration by actress Carol Baker and director Umberto Lenzi. I think the other one I talked about that was by Umberto Lenzi might have also been a Carol Baker in it. I can't remember. But yeah, it was just kind of okay. Like I said, the ending's great, but the rest of it's kind of like slow. I also joke here that it's got Fulci eye zooms, like a lot of them. But it does have a decent score to it in cinematography. But overall, like I said, it's just kind of ho-hum except for the ending. So I gave it 2.5 pancakes. Still worth watching if you're into giallo, but if you're not super into the genre, you might want to pass on it. So, do you got any more movie watch hotcakes for us, Scary Perry?
I'm fresh out.
All right, so I'll run through the rest of mine real quick. I got a few more. Up next, we got Pieces. So, speaking of Slaughter High, there's a poster of Pieces in it. It's a slasher movie, and the premise of it is a killer cuts up women on a college campus using the pieces to recreate the mother he killed. It's got terrible dubbing, but the effects are mostly great with plenty of blood, guts, and TNA. Plus, it's got the greatest overacted line delivery by actress Linda Day George. Her husband, Christopher George, is also in this. Edmund Purdom is also in there. I talked about him in, I believe it's Don't Open Till Christmas, my little blog post, my short stack blog post on the website, themadpancaker.com, so you can read that there. It's got good acting, even though the dubbing, and plus, if you've ever heard Linda Day George, look up the clip. It's great. Her saying bastard. It's one of the best overacted lines in history. It's really gross, got great gore. It's got a great ending, too. It's got this crazy double swerve ending to it. But overall, yeah, very excellent slasher. I gave it 4 pancakes. Definitely worth checking out. Up next, we got Evil Dead Trap. I won't delve into this because I did this is another one of my short stack blogs, so go to themadpancaker.com to read my thoughts about that. And to co-rise with the release of Evil Dead Rise. In fact, on the Friday it released in theaters, I think I put out the thing to tie into, the review there. It's a J-horror film, so Japanese horror. It's got nothing to do with Evil Dead at all. It's just one of those, in the US, that's the name they gave it type deal. But
it's a trap.
Definitely recommend it. And real quick, so I don't know, I gotta get time to actually sit down and record a couple of quick cakes for the YouTube channel. I'm gonna have a quick cake for Evil Dead Rise at some point. I did finally watch it. To give you the short version, was just kind of I mean, there's some decent gore, but the CGI is just like meh.
Did I say it was? I think I said it was.
Yeah. It's got some good practical effects, but you can also tell the CGI, and I don't know, like some of the stuff just like with CGI is always like really kind of shiny. You know what I mean? And that just distracts me.
Okay.
I definitely could get into the characters. I'm not going to flip to it in my book. Like I said, I might do a quick cake about it, but I probably gave it like a 2.5 is my guess. I'll do a more in-depth, like short little 6 to 10 minute YouTube video diving in more into it. So that's it for movies watched, I think. It's already been out on the website for a while, so I do have another short stack blog post reviewing the sequel to Nothing Underneath that I just talked about a little bit ago. Sequel in name only, called Too Beautiful to Die. In Italy, it makes more sense because it actually has the same name, the Italian name, as Nothing Underneath, but with a 2. Read my blog post about that. Another excellent giallo from that era, and see what I gave it. Is it good enough to receive the full 5 pancakes with syrup? You'll just have to go to themadpancaker.com and read to find out. Ooh. On to pickups. So first off, do you have any interesting pickups, Perry?
I do.
Movie or a non-movie?
Movie. It's a movie.
Yes. All right. I'll let you go first since I just went, so go ahead.
I picked up on Blu-ray at the Exchange.
The Exchange.
Stores. It wasn't actually local, though, but anyways, I picked up one of Kevin Smith's horror movies.
Uh-oh.
Red State. Now, this movie is hard to find because I believe it had to do with the Weinstein things.
Oh, with the distribution.
Like Dogma is hard to find, I believe.
Gotcha.
Like you can obviously find it on like a streaming thing. You know?
Yeah, I gotcha. I understand though.
But I wanted to own it on physical copy of it.
Right.
It was pricey, but not incredibly pricey. Just a little bit about it because there's some twists and turns. It's kind of about these teenagers that get captured by this Westboro Baptist type church. It's not Westboro Baptist type church.
I gotcha.
And then more happens. I don't want to explain too much without giving it away. But I really, really like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. He has his funnier ones like Tusk. And I know a lot of people have stuff to say about Tusk. So there's one actor that's in both movies. Michael Parks.
Okay.
He's an exceptionally good actor. Even in Tusk. He's the pastor of this church in Red State. Mm-hmm. He is really good. And he even sings. This is kind of like an under-the-radar actor, and he kind of brought him back into prominence a little bit before he passed away a few years ago. I mean, this came out a while. I mean, maybe 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
This movie, I really enjoy it. I give it solid 4.5 stars out of 5. You know, not the perfect movie, but
right.
And but yeah, I'm happy to own it on Blu-ray. Yeah, it's not Yoga Hosers either.
Okay.
I don't have though.
All right. So back to me for pickups. So, I'm a Giallo fan, so I got the latest from Arrow Video Giallo Essentials pack, which is just really them repackaging movies they've already released, but it's nice little collection, and you got the box set there. So this is Giallo Essentials, the blue collection. So in this, you have the forbidden photos of a lady above suspicion, Death Walks on High Heels, and Death Walks at Midnight. The interesting thing about this pack, so this one's actually very kind of themed. I don't know if he directed any other Giallos, but all 3 of these films were directed by Luciano Ercoli, and they star Nieves Navarro, or her English, pseudonym name, Susan Scott, which was, if I remember correctly, it's Ercoli's wife. Imagine that, getting a gig because no, I'm just kidding. But
it happens.
No, she's a good actress anyways. Yeah. So this one, I kind of like how it's kind of themed. It's got a set to it based on a director. So I've seen them all before. I rewatched them recently because I picked up the thing, and they've been on my wanting to rewatch list for a while. So I'll talk about each one real quick. First up, and they're in chronological order. And while the other 2 have similar names, they're like sequels in name only. Again, I don't think I've ever seen a Giallo that actually has a true sequel, like follow-up using same characters. They're just like named similarly, that type of deal. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Argento's Animal trilogy. It's a trilogy based on the names that they all have animals in their names, but they have nothing to do with each other other than the naming convention.
Yeah.
So in this, in the forbidden photos of a lady above suspicion, a woman is blackmailed to protect her husband, but when she confesses to the police, the blackmailer disappears. Has she gone mad? Very suspenseful Giallo. What it lacks in murder, it makes up in a clever plot. This is the directorial debut of Luciano Ercoli, and it's got his wife Susan Scott. It's got a score by Ennio Morricone.
Oh, wow.
And I also put that this is kind of like the Giallo without a murder, because normally most Giallos start off, they're like a murder mystery. There's kind of like a maybe hinted at that this guy's trying to blackmail her because her husband might have killed somebody in his line of business. I forget what the business is. It has something to do with diving. Intentionally gave the guy the Benz or something type deal. One of those deals. If I remember correctly, he's trying to blackmail her for that. It's very sleazy, obviously, the forbidden photos, I really like this one. It's another solid Giallo. All 3 of these are very good films, so I gave this one 4 out of 5 pancakes. And then the second one, Death Walks on High Heels. So it's Luciano Ercoli's second Susan Scott Giallo, where she is on the run from a killer after her father's stolen diamonds. It's another great Giallo with clever twists and turns that keep you engaged and keep you guessing, and gutsy enough to kill the lead like Psycho. So a bit of a spoiler, though. If you've listened to the opening of the podcast, there's spoilers. But yeah, so the mystery is who killed Susan Scott halfway through the film, because she has her boyfriend, then she runs off with this other guy, but then he goes on a business trip and then she ends up dead type deal. So it's like, who killed her? I'm not sure if the first one, Forbidden Photos, was written by Ernesto Gastaldi, but this one was for sure, because I wrote it down here in my notes. He's another very famed giallo writer in general. I believe he wrote the screenplay or script for... it's a very famous movie. I believe Sergio Martino did it. Why is the name escaping me? Once Upon a Time in America or something like that. Look it up real quick.
What am I looking up?
I think it's a Sergio Martino film.
Give me 1 sec. Let me see here.
Or it might be Sergio Leone.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing it.
I think it's Sergio Leone. I'm sorry.
All these Sergios.
Yeah, there's also Sergio Cartabucci, so who's another Western director.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
No, that's not it.
Once Upon a Time in America. 1984?
Yes.
He did Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah,
also.
that's a different movie. It's not got nothing to do with
Oh,
that.
so okay. This is like Clint Eastwood stuff.
Well, that's the Western.
Well, it's
Once
like-
Upon a Time in America is a gang movie,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
It's after crime. Yeah.
So yeah, he did Once Upon a Time in America. He wrote the screenplay to that. So he's a very kind of famed writer in Italy. He's collaborated with a lot of giallo directors too. He wrote Torso, if I remember correctly, for Sergio Martino. Also had a little bit to do with the screenplay of Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. He's written a ton of films. He does some great work in the genre for writing. But yeah, I love this one too. It's got great acting again. Pretty original. I don't know what it's based off of because a lot of these giallos are based off of books.
Yeah.
But they're like loose adaptations. So I gave this one 4.5 pancakes.
Got a question.
All right, I got an answer.
Does she wear heels in the movie?
Yes, it does play into it. That's the fun thing about giallos is like trying to figure out what the heck the name of the movie has to do with what happens in the movie because it's so vague sometimes and it doesn't come in till like later. A good example is Four Flies on Grey Velvet. You're 3/4 of the way through and it's like, why is this called Four Flies on Grey Velvet? What is going on here? That's kind of another one. The Forbidden Photos kind of come in earlier in that one. A lot of them do that. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage does that as well. The weirdest one is like the Cat O' Nine Tails. That one, it's just an offline that's mentioned by Carl Malden, like at the halfway point or something. So the last one of this collection, Death Walks at Midnight, Ercoli's third Susan Scott giallo, where she witnesses a murder while drugged, but no one believes her as the killer stalks her. Twists and turns abound in this excellent giallo, with great music and memorable spiked gloved kills. He's got like this gauntlet that's got like spikes on it, and he just punches people. It's pretty awesome. It's very brutal.
Sounds cool.
Again, written by Ernesto Gastaldi, and I absolutely love this one. I think it's the best out of the three. I gave this one 5 pancakes. Not quite syrup, but it's definitely an excellent giallo.
Yeah, just not even a little drizzle.
Nah, you gotta be careful handing out those. You know what I mean? You gotta save them for like the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like your deep reds.
Like the
Probably your Tenebrae.
Like the Return of the Living Dead.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to give them out willy-nilly. Although, spoiler, one of the recent blog posts I might have wrote about, there might be one that got some syrup in there. So of those 3 I mentioned, did I mention 2 or 3? I mentioned at least 2. So check them out, themadpancaker.com. Don't know how much I got to keep plugging that. All right, Perry, you got any more movie pickups or any pickups in general? Because I don't know if you got any more or not.
I am out of pickups and watched movies, sir.
All right. I just have 2 more movie pickups and then a couple of other pickups and have some video games to talk about.
Video game?
Yeah. So up next, I was doing a Walmart run, a Wally World run, and I saw they had the Little Shop of Horrors director's cut on Blu-ray. So I'm like, what the hell? I'll pick it up. It's a fun movie. It's the musical one. Rick Moranis, got Steve Martin, John Candy's in there for a bit. Bill Murray's in there. You got Ellen Green, Vincent Gardenia.
Matt Pancaker.
And it's got both endings in there. So yes.
Feed me, Matt
Feed me,
Pancaker. Or actually, wait, Dolores, feed me.
That's right.
We're never getting this.
If Delores was the star of that movie, there would be no movie because that plant would have died.
Luckily, I'm a rotund fellow, so I can survive a little longer on my rotundness.
So
wait, I'm going to the gas station getting the stuff.
So last up for movie pickups. This was a release by TerraVision. They're a smaller company. They do a lot of music releases for like LPs and for horror and stuff.
Okay.
And other obscure movies, but they've been putting out movies on Blu-ray and stuff. I don't know how long they've been around, but they've got some titles to their name. So they did the kind of hard to find a good copy like version, because I remember watching this on Tubi and like the quality was very bad as like VHS, and it had like the Fuse logo in the bottom corner from whatever they got it from. So this is Linnea Quigley's Horror Workout, and this is fun little in the homage of your exercise videos of back in the day. You know, your Richard Simmons, your aerobic exercise videos that were popular in the 80s and early 90s. Very fun. Very tongue-in-cheek. Probably actually do the workout and get a burn, you know.
You didn't do a different kind of workout?
No. Well, there's actually a joke about that in there. She makes that joke in there. I know what you do when you watch my movies. And I'm like, honestly, Linnea, I've never done that. I swear. It also has a couple different cuts to it, I think. So they have the main version that's in 720p from the original master tape. They have a standard def version that's a direct capture of the original master tape. And then they have an AI upscaled version to 1080i with a sharper image. But it's interesting that they have all those different cuts on there. That's kind of cool because from what they wrote here, they were archived on 3M tape, which was discovered many years later to be very bad for archiving films. And I think it's one of those ones where after they remastered it, like the tape probably fell apart or something like. So it's one of those kind of deals. So, but they didn't know back then that some of the different tapes and stuff wouldn't last as long.
Yeah.
That's another fun one. It's weird because it's an oddity, you know what I mean? It's like an hour long. It's like an exercise music video type thing. So it's a fun watch, you know, it's definitely worth watching for sure. We'll go to some non-movie related pickups, memorabilia. First up, I don't have it over here because I didn't want to lug the box over here. We have Atmosfear / AK Nightmare. They did a 30th, 25th anniversary edition or whatever. I forget how long ago it is. So this was an old VHS board game. And we recently had the pleasure of playing it. You, me, my brother, and his wife.
Yep.
So the premise of it is, you know, you play along, it's an hour long, you have the video that you watch and the gatekeeper comes up and you're going around and you're trying to collect your keys. But it's very spooky and atmospheric. It's a lot of fun. It's very frantic though. But I had a lot of fun with it. Did you have fun playing it?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I definitely want to play it again. Different. I'd probably bring it over for the boys to play.
Yeah, it's
you know,
definitely good for the boys.
Yeah, so I think that'd be a fun one for Saturday board game night.
Because you know Saturdays are for the boys. So.
I almost said it. Oh, jeez. I'm going to give the win to my sister-in-law Rita. I think she won.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Very fun game. I'm very nostalgic for it because I first played it over at my grandfather's house. My uncle had a copy, and I played it with my cousins. A lot of fun, a lot of good memories. Definitely worth checking out. I don't know if you can get it anywhere, like if it went officially on sale, because I kickstarted it. This was a Kickstarter that finally came in, so you might be able to find it like in a...
They might have it on their website or something.
Yeah.
But I
guess they did another edition a few years back. It's very weird.
Because I'm a board gamer, and I haven't seen it like at...
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those that went to retail. You might have to hit eBay to find a copy. So up next, this was a gift from my brother and his wife. I got these they're pins. So I don't know how I became a pin guy all of a sudden, but I like them. So
you're the pin collector guy now.
So they got me these Resident Evil pins. They're probably about like an inch or two, inch and a half maybe in size, tall.
Yeah.
And they're full-bodied, cool little enamel pins. We got two that are just, you know, you got a lab coat zombie and then you're like green coat zombie. Then you got Jill Valentine and then that one was a 3-pack and it's kind of got like this little diorama to it that looks kind of cool on the pin board here. And then he got me the single one, which was probably one of my favorite Resident Evil characters. Not that I don't like Jill Valentine, but Leon S. Kennedy, so in his classic RPD get-up. So very cool. Thank you to my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, for getting me that. All right, so the last physical pickup before we talk about some video games. So this was supposed to come out with my copy of The Fog, but it got delayed. So this is the NECA action figure of the Fog character Stevie Wayne, famously played by Adrienne Barbeau. Pretty cool, very good likeness of her. It's got the big gold cross from the movie that Hal Holbrook's character, the priest, has at the end. It's got the wooden plank of the... it's cut off. I never remember the name of this ship's name. Something the Dane. But it's got that half board that's from the movie, so I'll pass this over to Scary Perry. You can check it out. But definitely very cool. When I ordered the package, I'm like, what the hell if I'm going to order it? You know, I like Adrienne Barbeau's work. It'd be cool to have an action figure of her. So that's very cool. So that's all the physical stuff we got in front of us. So talk about a few video games real quick. So checking that out there, Scary Perry.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah. Oh, NECA does some...
They
do some good stuff, but I heard the quality is sometimes... Like, if you actually, like, try to pose it and stuff, I heard sometimes the quality on those can be kind of suspect. My brother knows more about it. He's way into
I'm the kind of guy that leaves stuff in the box nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like it's going to fall apart in the box.
Yeah.
So first up, I'll talk about this little game. It's been out for a while. It was on sale. I finally picked up. I got my huge wish list of collecting them. Like, I'm only buying this if it goes on sale to check it out type games.
Yeah.
So this one was called Corpse Party. So I guess the original back in the day was...
What system was this for?
This was on Xbox.
Okay.
So, but it's on multiple systems. It's been ported to a bunch of different things. I think this is actually technically a remake of the original. It was one of those RPG Maker games back in the day. If you're familiar with the RPG Maker.
I do. I remember.
Yeah, so this was made in that and then got an actual release. And then this is an updated version with like modern... I mean, it's still like a pixel, top-down, old-school RPG. It's not very heavy on the RPG elements, but it was made in that. It's very cool. So obviously, it's a J-horror game. It's about this group of Japanese students who perform this charm ritual, best friend charm type thing, but they get sucked into this alternate spirit world type version of their school. It's very interesting. It's kind of creepy. I had some fun with it. It's definitely kind of cool. It's different. I liked it. There's multiple endings too, which is kind of cool, and it's divided into chapters. The only thing is, like, there's 5 chapters. The first 4 chapters, because each time you beat a chapter, you start a new chapter, nothing carries over progress-wise.
Okay.
So there's a right way to beat chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 in order to get to the next chapter. And then in chapter 5, you have all your multiple endings. But nothing from the previous 4 chapters affects the final ending because you can play chapter 5 by itself once you unlock it. Kind of wish there's a little more interconnectivity with that. But then again, that would make replaying it to get all the endings a little tougher. Whereas now you can just start in chapter 5 and go forward. Mm-hmm. And towards the end, it gets really complex in what you have to do to get the different endings. At about chapter 4, all right, I gotta look up a guide now. I was having fun with it, but a lot of times when you're playing a game, like, you're having fun, it's like, okay, I just need to beat this game so I can get on to my life and get to the next game type deal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get you.
So, like, I'm like, start off like, I'm not gonna look up a guide, but then like 3/4 of the way playing through the game, it's like, fuck it, I'm looking up the guide. But it was fun. If you like top-down type, old school, pixel art type games, if you like horror stuff like that, it's pretty cool. It's worth checking out. I don't know why I'd give it pancake-wise. I'd have to think about some more, but it's probably like at least a 3. It's a fun time. It's definitely very niche, though. If you don't like old-school pixel art type games, you probably won't get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
And so up next is the big one, because I finally got an Xbox Series X. Mm-hmm. Because they forced me, because this game did not come out on the Xbox One, so I finally had to upgrade. So I got the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Overall, so I made the mistake of deciding to play on hardcore on my first run.
Never a good idea.
But based on, and I should have known from the previous hardcore difficulties that, okay, this is going to be tougher than it's implying, but it's like, oh, if you look at the difficulties, it's like, for those unfamiliar with the original Resident Evil 4. On hardcore, it's like, for those that have played the original Resident Evil 4, I'm like, well, I've played the original Resident Evil 4, so I'll play it on hardcore. There was definitely some frustrating parts in that, so that impacts my overall experience of the game. But I could take a step back and appreciate for what it is. The modern RE engine is a solid engine. It's a good game. I enjoyed it. But my whole question with it is, and it was my question going into this from the get-go, and it's why? I know it seems like the original RE4 didn't come out that long ago, but it actually came out, I forget when it came out. It was like the mid-2000s or something. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but it's almost 15, maybe 20 years ago that this game came out. I need to stop doing this because I did it with Resident Evil 3 as well. I need to stop playing the original version shortly before the new version comes out.
Yeah.
But it highlighted some of the stuff that I'm just like, why? Why did this game get remade? It didn't need remade. There's not that much. There definitely is some changes. It's not as glaring with Resident Evil 3 where they cut out a lot of stuff. There is one boss fight that they cut out. They cut out a few other scenes. They cut out this part where you're on like a truck and like fighting off zombies and stuff. Or not zombies, they're the gondos or whatever they're called.
I only played the second one. So
Whereas the Resident Evil 3 remake felt like a much shorter game because they cut out all the content. This one, it's still equally long probably as the original RE4. But I do kind of miss the cut content because there's a cool boss that they cut out. There are definitely some glaring problems. Yeah, it's a solid game. It's probably like a maybe 3.5, maybe a 4. Everybody's like calling it this modern masterpiece. I'm like, I don't want to go that far. I mean, there's definitely some stupid stuff they put in this game. One of the big things is with your knife, and the knife was kind of useful in Resident Evil 4. First off, it wasn't an actual inventory item anymore, I think, but you could hit arrows out of the air and that type of stuff. So it was useful. They did away with quick time events, sort of, which is nice, but you lose some of the cinematic scenes. Like, there's this giant statue that chases you in the original this like giant, mechanical, probably like King Kong size statue that comes and like chases after you. And all it is one of those smash the A button quick time events. And then at the last second when you need to jump out of the way, you have to hit the right sequence or else, it falls on you and crushes you type deal.
Gotcha.
Like that was cut out, but that was kind of a fun thing. But I get it because, the quick time events were dumb. I get that. But at the same time, you lose some of the cinematic. I don't know how they could have changed it to include stuff like that. It's really weird, though, because they still have some of the dodge stuff. Like, you hit B to dodge at the right time. It'll pop up on the screen and tell you to evade. And you can still deflect stuff with the knife. But if it's not, like, a critical type scene, like, it's way in the bottom of the right HUD. Whereas all the quick time buttons used to pop up at the center. And there's still some of those in this when it tells you B to evade. That type of stuff happens. But, like, if you don't see it in the bottom, because it's so small, it's right next to your HUD in the bottom corner, and I can't see that. I'm not going to be paying attention to that. I'm looking at the center of the screen. I'm not looking down at the bottom right. Whereas, with the old one, hit the knife button now. It'd pop up right in the screen, hit the trigger to use the knife. So that's kind of annoying. It does it with evade, B for evade. But holy hell, if you are like inputting any sort of other thing and then you hit B, it won't register. I don't know if it's because of the difficulty and it just tightens the time window. I could get to work sometimes, but then other times, like, I'm moving or something and I finally hit B and, like, nothing happens. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It was very frustrating. I definitely had some of those moments yelling at the game where I was like, I hit fucking B, you piece of shit fucking game. That kind of impacts my experience a little bit. So with the knife, they added in knife degradation. So as you use your knife, it takes damage and wears out, and then it'll break. Yeah. And then you have to repair it or find more knives. And, you have your main knife that you can always repair, and then you just have, like, the single-use knives that, once they break, they're done. Why did this game need knife degradation? And it's a game where they emphasize using the knife more, because you can sneak kill people. Like, you get behind them and you stab them with the knife. If you don't have a knife, you're fucked. You can't sneak kill them.
Yeah.
And in a game where you use the knife a ton, why did we need knife degradation? Why did we try to make the knife more important? It was already important in the original RE4. There's an entire boss that you could just beat by knife spamming in that game. In fact, it's actually the good strategy. If you try to shoot him with bullets, it's a very hard fight. But once you figure out that all you do is you knife spam the boss in the original, he's very easy. I don't know why they added that. I think knife degradation is one of the dumbest things they could have done. There's some other flaws. I talked about the evade thing. That's annoying. So this was kind of an exploit, but it was a good exploit, in fact, because in the original, whenever you upgrade a weapon's ammo capacity, because you go to the merchant, you can upgrade your weapons. When you upgrade a gun's ammo capacity, it would refill the clip all the way to max. They got rid of that exploit. The problem with it is, part of your strat of running the original, not to get into it depth, is there's the shotgun called the Striker, and its final upgrade, its ultimate, because they all have like an ultimate upgrade, it like massively increased the ammo capacity to like 80. You're never going to like find 80 bullets to reload this shotgun, but if you fully upgrade it, it's something like 80. It's a ridiculous. It's like 64 or something. You wait till the end, you upgrade that weapon all the way, and now you have a ton of shotgun ammo to go into the final boss and beat him. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to get that upgrade in this one. I think it's a little more realistic. It's like 48 in this one, but it doesn't top off your clip to 48 ammo. So it's like, well, why bother upgrading the shotgun to the final upgrade? Yeah. I'm like, it's almost like in the original, that exploit was meant to be there to help you. And I feel like they lost the point of that. In New Game Plus, like, what are you going to do with a shotgun that has like 80 round capacity or whatever it is? Oh, well, I'll slowly refill it over time. It's like, no, it's meant to upgrade before the final boss so you can go into the final boss with a shit ton of ammo and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh, you could pay to win in this game. I don't know if you know. So each weapon has like, you can either fully upgrade it and then it unlocks a final upgrade that you can pay with the normal in-game currency that you collect from killing guys to get the final upgrade. That's like the bonus upgrade to the weapon. It's different for each gun. Or you could find these upgrade tickets. You could get them in-game through the merchant by finding these collectibles throughout the game. Or you could go to the Microsoft store and buy them for like $4 or something a piece. Wow, how scummy is that? You could just pay to like make your time in a game easier. I'm not going to lie on the professional difficulty because I was trying to do it legit. Because to get the upgrade ticket to upgrade the one special Magnum to infinite ammo, because that's its ultimate upgrade is it gets infinite ammo. So it's like, oh, now I got a super powerful weapon that has infinite ammo. Professional was so frustrating. I just could not get there. Screw it. I'm paying the $4 to get this so I could finally beat this stupid game and put it to rest. And I still need to go back through and play it to get S+ rank. But you could get S+ rank with the infinite Magnum. So, overall, it's a decent game. But like I said, my big question is why. And the last thing I'll talk about with it is the voice acting. Most of the voice acting's pretty solid. Again, I probably prefer all the original voice actors, though, just by personal preference. They all did a good job, except for Ada Wong. And I also don't like her character redesign because she's supposed to be kind of like this sexy super spy agent type character. So she's always got like these provocative dresses on that aren't really practical. This, they gave her like this kind of sweater thing. And yeah, kind of, tight sweater, but I mean, it doesn't feel Ada Wong. It doesn't exude the seductiveness of her where, she's kind of like she's a bit of a tease, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a flirt. None of that personality comes across in the voice actor. And whoever wrote the dialogue, it's like she doesn't have any of that flirty tease, mysterious mystique to her. And the voice acting is just flat in general with the character. I know some people are trying to defend this like voice actress, and I'm like, no, she did a terrible job. And it could have just been the direction, There are directors for voice actors, so if they don't tell them how to emote properly. But at some point, somebody had to be like, all right, she either isn't getting it, or we need to do a better job directing her. If I remember correctly, the voice actress they got to do it was in the recent Resident Evil movie, Welcome to Raccoon City, came out a few years ago. There's an ending cutscene where Ada Wong appears in it. And I believe it's that actress. They got her to do the voice of it. I mean, in the 2-second cameo, not that you can get much from a 2-second cameo, I wasn't impressed with her in that. But I definitely wasn't impressed with her in this. So, I mean, she didn't really prove anything here. Yeah, I don't know why they chose to bring her in to do it. I mean, I'm sure she's probably a decent actress. Outside of that one cameo, like I said, I wasn't impressed. But then again, it's a 2-second cameo, and I have no idea what else she was in. But I felt like they butchered that character. Yeah, so overall, it's an okay game. I don't think it's like end-all, be-all. It's got a solid engine, but yeah, at the same time, I just feel like my whole overall thing with this is why? Why did we remake Resident Evil 4? But that's my Resident Evil 4 grape.
Her name is Lily Gao?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, because I remember seeing it in the lead up to, which was a red flag to me, because I'm like, I didn't really like her little end cameo scene from Welcome to Raccoon City. If I remember correctly, she was the one who played...
Just kind of saying what she's done, but...
Because I remember seeing that where it's like, oh, we have the character, or the actor from Welcome to Raccoon City coming back to do... Am I right?
She was in that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So she did do the end cameo scene. I wasn't that thrilled with her performance in that. I know it's like 1 minute, 2 minute end of credit cutscene, cameo, trying to hype the next picture that'll probably never come out. It didn't impress me in that one. So I'm like, why did we get this person to do it? But I don't know.
Looks like
neither here nor there.
She's not even like really a voice actress. So I don't
know. That's the other thing. Like I said, maybe she's a better actress than voice actress. That's one thing with voice acting that a lot of people get wrong is like they bring in these big celebrities to do it and they just can't voice act.
Yeah.
It's not an uncommon thing. There are two different type of skill sets involved. There are actors that can be good voice actors, and vice versa. I remember in Shakes the Clown, Tom Kenny, or is it Tim Kenny? I can't remember his name, but the voice actor that plays SpongeBob is in that movie, and he's hilarious in that movie. All right, so one last hotcake. So I don't know if you found this out, Perry, but I think I sent you that thing a little bit back, that this Shudder original TV show, I think it was, about a character named Delores. Wait a minute, has Delores been two-timing on us? Did Delores sell the rights to her very exaggerated life story, I think, based on this character? Not saying the character's a looker, but looks way better than Delores does. But did Delores sell out on us? I forget what the name of the TV show is. Literally, it's called like Delores, I don't know, Cannibal something or something. Delores is two-timing on us.
That bitch.
I know. Well, at least somebody went on to fame and fortune from this podcast. Ain't us. Thanks, Delores. Thanks for cutting us in on it. With that, we will go on to our review. So this is our first Patreon request. So at the $10 tier, you get to request a movie for us to review. And our $10 Patreon, J-Bones, good old chef of the International House of Horror.
Wait, he's not cooking and he's doing computers. Get a phone in there.
Yeah, this was his pick because he's our $10 Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/themanpancaker, you can sign up at any tier to help support the podcast. But at the $10 tier, you get a movie review. At the $5 tier, you get to suggest a spoiler. So go over and check that out. If you can support the podcast and you're in a position to do so, we'd greatly appreciate it. So this is our first Patreon request review. He suggested for us to review the 2006 zombie film, Train to Busan.
2016.
Oh, it's even big. Yeah, look at this. It's big on here. I left out the one. Yeah, 2016, excuse me. Train to Busan.
We're going on a train again?
Yep, so this is a very famous Korean zombie film. Kind of came out to a lot of critical acclaim. It stars, and forgive me, I'm probably going to butcher most of these names because they're Korean names, so I'm going to do my best. Gong Yo, or Yu?
It's probably you.
Gong Yu, it's got 2 O's, so Gong Yu. Jung Yu Mi.
Yep.
My Dong Sok. What do you think about My Dong Sok here, Perry?
I do like it.
Oh, I know.
You're bad. You're bad.
I work with the second I saw that name.
Ma Dong Seok. It might be Seok.
It's probably Seok, but I mean, Seok sounds like suck. So I was going, what do you think about my Dong Suck here, Perry? So you got Kim Soo-on, Chow Woo-shik, On Soo-hee, or On So-hee, and Kim Yu-sung. Now that's the Korean actual physical actor cast. So I did watch the dub version. I tried to look. I could not find a dub cast to save my life for this. This has not been the first time I cannot find a dub cast. It is so hard to find information about dubbings for movies. You know what I mean? Because I've tried to look for Italian movie dubs because they were famously dubbed to see what the English voice dub cast was. It's so annoying because it's not something that's usually listed on IMDb either.
Yeah. I'm trying. I probably can't find it.
Yeah, you can try if you want in between the stuff, but it's not a big deal. I make a few references. Maybe somebody can confirm whether or not some of these people were voiced by some of the people I suspect they were. So this one was directed by Yeon Sang-ho, and with that, we'll dive right in. We open with a bunch of Korean credits that I can't read. Nice job, Tubi. You can't even subtitle the credits for me, because sometimes they do that, and sometimes in some movies they'll subtitle the credits so you can actually see what the foreign movie credits are. So I have no idea what they're saying right now. After the credits, we finally cut to Andrew McCarthy's girlfriend's Korean relative appears out of nowhere. This is a mannequin of a construction worker waving people to stop at a road checkpoint, like they have this automated mannequin. So this truck pulls up, and these guys in hazmat gear, they come out and they start hosing down the vehicle with disinfectant before waving it through. And this guy, he stops to ask what is going on. And this is the first glimpse we get at how terrible the dub work is, which I don't have a problem with. I've watched plenty of Italian movies and they're all dubbed, and the dubbing ranges from good to bad, but it's part of the experience and can actually be kind of fun. So it doesn't affect my rating of this film whatsoever. So it turns out there's a leak at a nearby biotank plant. Leak at a chemical plant. Terrible dubbing? This sounds an awful lot like Hell of the Living Dead to me. Wait, I thought Bruno Mattei was supposed to be the one ripping off other horror movies, not the other way around. The guy drives on his way, but gets distracted by his cell phone and hits something while not looking. Remember, kids, don't text and drive. Learn from this guy. Turns out he turned a fawn into roadkill, and he continues on his way after briefly stopping to inspect it. But we pan over and we see the CGI blood-splattered deer contort and twist back onto its feet as we get a close-up on the real deal, which doesn't look that bad. It's got these CGI white eyes. I'm assuming they used a real animal and probably glossed over the eyes, so it looks pretty good. It contorting and getting up is kind of a bit dated for CGI. Then we get our title card, still in Korean. I'm just going to assume it translates to Hell of the Living Dead 2. It's kind of probably like Evil Dead Trap, got to cash in on another movie. It's pulling a Troll 2. We're going to cash in on a movie that's not very well known, very popular.
It's just Train to Busan.
Yeah, it probably says Train to Busan, but there's no subtitle, so I'm assuming it says Hell of the Living Dead 2. I know
in some countries, I don't think it's in South Korea, but the movie is also called Busan Bound.
Could be pretty much a similar name,
Yeah.
We cut to the Korean office, where some guy is on the phone talking business while eating his Burger King product placement. Just like the American office, the Korean version isn't that funny either. That's right, shots fired, office fans. Come at me for it. So he's checking out some stuff on this article on his computer, which I'm sure if I could read Korean would say something about the aforementioned biohazard, but all I can see and understand is a picture of a bunch of dead fish in the wild. He calls in his lackey to play Wolf of Wall Street, something about dumping all the stocks related to one company, but that would destabilize the market, blah, blah, blah. This is supposed to begin to establish that this guy is cold and doesn't care about other people, but to be honest, it just seems like good business to me. I'm kind of with this guy. Besides, it'll probably just tank that one stock. Destabilize the market sounds like an exaggeration. He asks his assistant what all the cool kids are into. My guess is the Fortnite? Kids still play the Fortnite? Is that still the popular thing?
Not in 2016.
Is it Minecraft? Well, I'm talking. I know it's Fortnite now, but
now, yes, of course.
Well, when did Fortnite come out? That's
it's still popular.
It's been out for a while.
I don't think 2016.
Maybe it was LOL. Were they playing the LOL back then? It was probably Overwatch. They were playing it was probably still Minecraft.
I don't know. It could have been World of Warcraft still. I don't know, man.
Anyways, neither here nor there.
Well, it came out in 2017. So
so not too far off. I mean, it's in the realm of possibility. I know the game wasn't technically out, but
I'm just Googling the weirdest stuff right now.
So next he's leaving the office and he's on the phone with his wife talking divorce. And we find out that the guy's name is Sock. What a weird name.
Seok.
Yeah, it's not spelled, but it sounds like they're saying sock, like an actual sock. So at least that's easy enough to pronounce. I can pronounce sock. They're arguing about their daughter, Suan, another relatively easy name to pronounce, so that's a good one, whom Sock insists on keeping custody. But the wife counters by saying he doesn't even talk to her. So he's cold and a bad father. Got it, movie. His daughter wants to ride the train to Busan to see her mother for her birthday tomorrow by herself. But Daddy Sock isn't having any of it because he's got important business stuff to do tomorrow. So last minute birthday present buying Sock comes home and tells his daughter, Suan, he's too busy with work to take her. But he got her a present for her birthday, a Nintendo Wii. But it turns out he already bought her one and conveniently left the box for it right by the system too, so the director can return it to the store for a refund when the filming is over. See, that's how you film on a low budget, people. But first off, I gotta say, what an ungrateful brat. With 2 consoles, now you can have a LAN party. Kids these days, they can't appreciate the efforts we had to go to have LAN parties back in the day. Lugging our Xboxes and TVs all over the place to hook up to play 16-player Halo.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Kids don't know the struggle. When asked what else he can get her, she says to go to Busan to see her mother. Look, kid, I'm pretty sure your mom isn't going to survive the zombie apocalypse off screen. So save yourself the trouble and ride it out playing some video games. He tries to put it off, but she knows he'll never end up taking her. So she guilt trips him into taking her by saying she doesn't want to be a bother and can go by herself. His mom that lives with them, so Sock's mom, her grandmother, says he's a good dad for taking her. Yeah, the guy who's completely oblivious of his daughter's existence. Real dad of the year here. Mom also accused us that Suan was upset that Sock didn't make it to her recital. Based on the video recording she shows, you dodged a bullet there, Sock. He gets guilt tripped twice in 5 minutes. I see the real problem here. Sock is whipped. He's probably a beta pretending to be an alpha in the business world.
God.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a cuck in real life. We cut to them. That's the first of 2 cuck jokes I'm going to make, people. We cut to them driving to the train station to board the train. And based on it being dark outside, I think they might be getting on the train for a disco costume frat party at midnight. The daughter is on her cell phone talking to her mom again. Sock let this kid have a cell phone? No wonder he's a terrible father. How old do you think that kid is? Honest. Like, what do you think? She's like 6 to 8? 10's probably pushing it.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. That's about right.
I think that's way too young to have a cell phone. I know kids these days, with the technology, I mean,
And then,
parents just cop in and they give them a cell phone. I know there's peer
we don't
pressure.
know how it is over.
I know there's peer pressure too nowadays. If I don't have a cell phone, I'll get made fun of. I mean,
This isn't
look
the
how we grew up.
But
We
this
grew
isn't
up
the
in high
United
school
States.
without cell phones. What I'm talking about nowadays, kids these days, they have cell phones. I'm like, really? Learn to actually interact with people, kids. Come on. Put the phones down and listen to keep your phone. Just use your phone to listen to our podcast. How about that, kids? Although this podcast is definitely not for
was
kids.
About 10 years old when she filmed it. Maybe
10 years?
9 or 10.
That seems about right. So,
she
but
filmed
still,
it.
I mean, I know cell phones were still kind of coming into their own when we were in high school, but I didn't have one until I can't remember if after high school. Neither here nor there. So then the kid starts playing with the window and just starts putting it up and down and up and down. I'm the whole time watching. I'm like, would you stop screwing with the window, kid? Jesus Christ, no wonder your dad doesn't love you. I know that's kind of cruel to say, but oh my God, that was so annoying. You remember that scene, right? Where she's playing with the window while they're driving to the train station. I'm just like, stop playing with the fucking window. So Sock asks her why she didn't finish singing the song and says you should always finish what you start. Yeah, kind of like finishing your board game that you're designing. Right, J-Bones? That's right, I'm firing shots all over the place. Office fans, J-Bones for being a slacker. Well, now that I think of it though, maybe someone should be working on their novel right now. But I'll let it slide. Too busy setting up first act stuff that will come up again in the third act, Sock nearly runs into a convoy of first responder vehicles. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the zombie apocalypse.
Nope.
They look at a building on fire while some knockoff RE Save Room music plays before cutting to everyone boarding the train station, including a high school baseball team. I'm assuming it's high school. I don't know how their school system works. I know school systems are different across the world, but I'm assuming it's a high school baseball team coached by Korean better stats than Scary Perry. Don't get too used to him. We're not going to see too much of him.
Yada. It's a high school baseball team.
Okay. Then hot chick they all have boners for from their class / cheerleader, Jen He shows up. I'm going to call her Jenny. It's just a lot simpler. And for the lulz, she's dishing out the sick burns on her love interest. Yeah, sick burns, accept your fate. Accept your fate, Perry. Accept your fate. Accept your fate. Accept your fate.
Naughty.
Okay, I don't know what that has to do with this episode.
Naughty.
But listen to our Silent Night, Deadly Night episode. We then meet the rest of the cast of Eventual Deaths. Place your bets on who lives and dies and for how long. Sock takes a phone call from his assistant telling him that they've been receiving calls and something about a strike. Look, I already know I'm watching a zombie film here. I don't need vague teases as to what is about to happen. We already know. Meanwhile, a tweaker manages to stumble aboard unseen. Then look, I know what you're thinking, and that's not necessarily a sign of zombification. Trust me, I've seen tweaking a lot worse than this in real life, unfortunately.
I just think somebody would have noticed.
Yeah, it's just like stumbles in, yeah. Maybe
they're just
like, you know, from my area where they're just so used to it that, you know, you don't notice.
Yeah.
As the train leaves the station, Suan sees a subway employee get jumped by something. I'm sure in this movie about zombies it wasn't a zombie, right? But her dad is asleep and misses the whole thing. That Worst Dad of the Year award is in the bag. Some time passes and the tweaker is in the restroom and isn't looking too good. The first place the tweaker went was the restroom. Shocker. Back in Sock and Suwan's car, some business guy tells the steward someone odd got on the train. Don't worry, I'm sure it was just Gene Shalit. Okay, I gotta move this microphone. I keep hitting it. Oh, yeah, get used to the Terror Train references. There are going to be a lot of them. The steward goes to check it out, and Suan goes to check it out too while Dad's asleep. Father of the Year here, folks. But is Tweaker Girl in the bathroom? Nope, it's just Korean Crazy Ralph telling us that everyone died. Not yet, buddy. We still got an hour and 40 minutes until that happens. Korean Crazy Ralph also just so happens to be a hobo with a better stash than Scary Perry. I wonder how good in a fight he is. Do you think he could be a good bum fighter, Perry?
Me?
No, this hobo here.
Yes.
I think so. Might have to get him into my bum fight circuit.
The mean streets
before anybody accuses him of, go back and listen to our Chet episode. I get tired of telling the story. The business guy tells her to work hard in school or you'll end up like the hobo. Suan says that her mom says people who say stuff like that are bullies. Look, Suan, Korean Elon Musk here is right. Your mom is wrong. It takes hard work and dedication to be successful. So where's the tweaker? She's stumbling around the train cars. I'm sure she's fine. She's just, tweaking out. She'll blow past it in a little bit. Suan walks to the next restroom, but is blocked by a guy standing by the door who says there are 2 people in there. So he's being cucked too? But actually, his pregnant wife is in there. A guy has a pregnant wife in a horror movie, their odds of surviving just went down. If you say you're pregnant in a horror movie, it doesn't usually pan out for you. That's a common trope. Back with the tweaker, a stewardess stumbles upon her and radios for help at the same time Sock's phone rings and wakes him up. It's his assistant again to dump some more exposition on us. Something about riots, military deployed, nationwide, yada yada. But Sock doesn't have time for that because he knows his kid is missing and follows a steward to see what is going on. There's these 2 older ladies watching the news broadcast of the riots from their seat, and one comments that people will riot over anything nowadays. She also adds in that back in the day, we would just take them to the re-education camps. Whoa! I'm like, so it seems like you're a commie, eh? Well, now I hope you die first. Remember, kids, better dead than red. Back with the tweaker and the stewardess, she continues to try to radio for help, but the tweaker slowly rises behind her while Suan finally finds an unoccupied restroom. Meanwhile, the stewardess staggers through the baseball team's car with the tweaker on her back, and nobody tries to help her? What is this, the New York City subway? Right? I think that deserves a badum-ching. In all seriousness, I'm sure New Yorkers are good people, except when the chuds come after them. The tweaker jumps off and lunges on one of the players while the stewardess contorts and transforms into a zombie, starting a chain reaction that will lead to the creation of a zombie horde. And look, this is a zombie movie, so I'm just going to say this right now. There will be no kill count for this episode because it's probably in the hundreds of thousands. I mean, like, you see so many people. Technically, every zombie you see died at some point, right?
I don't have theirs.
Right. It's a zombie movie. There's not going to be a kill count. We'll save that for slashers and monster movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't have.
The steward finally shows up and sees the chaos and runs back, warning passengers to evacuate toward the front of the train. Sock is still looking for his daughter, who comes out just as he passes by to see people frantically running by. The steward enters the car, continuing to warn passengers, when his zombie coworker catches up to him and bites him, converting him to the horde, which begins to chase after Sock and his daughter, who run for their lives from this CGI zombie horde as the suspenseful music ramps up. The one scene in here that's really weird, when there's this giant throng mash of zombies that's clearly CGI, it just seems so weird. It doesn't really mesh well with other scenes where it's just actual individual zombies running and even a group. Almost looks like they kind of merge together in one giant mass and are flowing like water, pushing through there.
That's later, but I want to talk about that later when we talk about it later. You're talking about it now, but I want to talk about it.
Well, it happens in this scene. Yeah. Oh, trust me, I have a lot to say about the different CGI parts throughout this.
All right, go ahead. Keep going.
But a zombie is in their way. So Sock stiff arms him out of the way. Man, Sock can really move, and he doesn't even fumble Sue on while he carries her. I mean, fantasy football season's right around the corner, Perry, at the time of this recording. You think I can draft this guy? He can't be any worse than Jonathan Taylor last year. Hey-oh! Shots fired! I'm firing shots all over today. Well, I'm sure Jonathan Taylor might bounce back. Yeah.
You're getting the
heat. Do you think any Colts fans or Jonathan Taylor listens to this?
Yes. I think all of the above.
Anyways, moving on. Man, it sure was convenient that this zombie outbreak started at the back of the train for max suspense, right? Because just kind of push it forward. I'm assuming it starts in the back. It just seems like that from the way it's filmed. So, cool guy totally not being cucked outside the bathroom, whose name is Sang Hui, I'm going to call him Sang for most of the movie, watches as all these passengers frantically run past. And his wife finally comes out of the bathroom, only for them to witness a woman stumble through the car door with a zombie biting her neck, and Sock looking scared shitless behind her with his daughter. Apparently, his wife is the only sensible person on this train and tells Sang Hui to help her. But when he does, the zombie turns its sights on him and attacks, pinning him against the wall. Sock takes this as his cue to exit and tiptoes past with Sue on. Sang manages to lock the zombie into a bathroom, but sees that the previous victim is starting to twitch. He's on the up and up. He knows what's going on. He tells his wife, whose name is Sung Kwong, to make a run for it. So we have Sung and we have Sang, huh? That's not going to be confusing when I shorten their names to their first syllable. And I said Sang, huh, not Sang Hua, which is his actual name. I was saying Sang as in H-U-H, huh?
Seong?
Well, because I said Sung.
His name is Yoon Song.
What?
Hua.
It's Sung.
Yeah, but his first name is Yoon.
What?
It's Yoon Sang
They call him Sang Hua. I never hear him call him Young. You also have to remember, if it's anything like Japanese culture, the last name matters more than the first name. I'm not sure how it is in Korea, but in Japan, the surname usually comes in front of the first name.
All right, come on.
It's very confusing.
That's like your Japanese names. Let's go.
Sock, his daughter, and the rest of the survivors managed to make it to the car with the rest of the passengers watching the news on TV about the outbreak. Sang and Sung are being chased by zombies as they run for the car, but Creon, Elon Musk, and the others shout to shut the door to keep the zombies out. Sock shuts the door on Sang and Sung just as they arrive. What a dick move. But that doesn't stop Sang from cold cocking a pursuing zombie and then pushing the door open to get inside to safety. I'm thinking at this moment, why can't this guy be our lead? He's way cooler than Sock. In these first 5 minutes of knowing this guy, he's way cooler than our protagonist that we spent 20 minutes establishing his entire backstory.
Yep.
So Sang asks Sock how to lock the door, but he just stares like, duh. Actually, he's staring at the zombies and Sang effortlessly holding the door closed and realizes that they don't know how to open doors. So he adds that they attack them on sight, which gives Sung the idea to block the plexiglass door with the newspaper and the zombies calm down. That was a pretty big leap of faith. Of course they would attack on sight. That doesn't necessarily mean they can't hear or smell you on the other side of the door. So they can't use doors and rely mostly on sight. So they're the dumbest zombies ever? Because usually they have a heightened sense of smell and hearing because humans are kind of sight predominant because we become so reliant on our sight, whereas other animals rely on more of their senses. So a lot of times all their senses become amplified because they aren't human anymore, so they aren't constrained to all those psychological functions of the human brain to rely more on sight. Sometimes. Or when a person goes blind and they can hear better. Yeah. One of those. So now that the immediate threat is over, Sang calls out Sock for being a dick and shutting the door on them. Sock counters that they were others' lives to consider. Sure there were, buddy. Now that the action has stopped, I'd like to point out that the music is kind of very generic and muted. It's your typical action music, but it doesn't wow me, you know?
Yeah.
I know how we could spice it up a little, though. It just needs some dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me. Well, what an obscure reference there. We'll have to review that horror movie that takes place on a train sometime, too. The conductor tells the passengers over the intercom that they are skipping their first stop, and Korean Musk uses the intercom to ask why they aren't stopping at the first destination. The conductor replies back that the orders came from their control center, but Korean Musk isn't having any of it, saying that people are going rabid back here. Oh man, we could be reviewing David Cronenberg's Rabid right now. That would be awesome. Thanks for reminding me, movie. So Sock then gets a call from his mom to tell him she's going crazy and turning into a zombie. It's about all that scene amounts to. They arrive at the first station, and you see why they aren't stopping. It's being attacked by zombies, and people are desperately banging on the train windows, desperate to get on to escape, only to become zombie food. It's actually a pretty good scene with them helplessly watching the carnage through the windows. The next establishing scene of the CGI train passing over a bridge past wrecked cars on a highway is not. Give me model terror train over a CGI train to Busan any day, right? There are some real shots of the train, but I'm pretty sure the one where it's going over that bridge, it just seems CGI to me. They did not film that train there. Plus there's fires and stuff on some of the cars, so...
Yeah, I get it.
A news report says that a state of emergency has been declared. while people watch footage of the attacks on their phones. The footage shows zombies hanging from helicopters and falling to the ground, getting up and attacking people. I just have to point out, there's no way those zombies didn't break most of their bones in their body and could move as effectively as they did, if not get up at all. I understand, zombies in different movies, depending on in 28 Days Later and stuff, they have different abilities. Like in Resident Evil, a lot of the monsters, because of the T-virus, regenerate. Not the zombies so much, but the monsters. Plus, we'll see a similar scene later that proves my point. Well, I put in my notes here, this hasn't been established as some T/G/progenitor type virus that can physically change the genetic structure and regenerate the damaged tissues and bones, so yeah. But never fear, the government is here to help. Well, that probably means they're all going to be fucked anyways, right? They tell the people to remain in the safety of their homes, lock the doors, and cover the windows. Don't worry, I'm sure they'll change their minds and tell you to seek shelter at the nearest rescue station, which it looks like for us is Youngstown? Okay, Perry, I think we're safer here in the International House of Horror diner than trying to head to Y-Town.
I think you're correct.
That's a little Night of the Living Dead reference for those that don't know.
I'm going to head over to the gas station if something happens.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the gas station's rebuilt, but they're still working on that bathroom. They got the bathroom zone blocked off. They're still waiting on all the toilets and stuff to come in. I know that's breaking your heart there, Perry.
Yeah, but they have the stuff back in stock.
Oh, boy. Just what you need, more of the stuff.
Have you ever had it? The taste? I mean, the stuff.
I heard enough is never enough, though. So I've heard.
You're correct.
We then get shots of CGI buildings randomly exploding on fire. My question is, why in zombie apocalypses do buildings randomly explode and catch fire for no reason? There's no jet fighters, no tanks in the streets, or the whirl of artillery shells.
Maybe it's like a...
These things are just going up like they're Ford Pintos.
Jesus. Maybe it's like a defense or something. Maybe they
Well, I could understand, propane tanks and stuff like that, but buildings are just going kaboom. There's no context to it. You don't see a pitched battle between the military.
It's meant to show
I know, but every modern zombie movie does it. During Dawn of the Dead remake did it. So I'm just pointing that out as why are these things just randomly exploding?
Maybe they just internally combust somehow.
And now it's back to the boring stuff, though. Suwon gives up her seat to the commie lady's sister, who gives her some candy. Sok pulls her aside and tells her sometimes it's okay to be selfish. Thank you. Finally, this guy just saved the cat for me. For me, at least. Oh, wait. That's actually not a good thing to be selfish.
Respect your elders, Rocco.
No, I was talking about being the selfish part.
Mad Pancaker.
The exposition conductor chimes in to let them know that Daeshong...
Well, you know what? You are selfish because I don't get to press buttons.
That's right.
Can I press the button?
What button?
Don't slap my hand.
There you go. You pressed it.
Okay, thank you.
You happy?
Yeah, it feels good. Where's my button board?
Doesn't exist. They don't make one for Scary Perry's. It says right on the packaging. Not for use by Scary Perry's zombies and people in jean shout masks, chuds.
Pod people.
We haven't reviewed any pod people yet.
I am a pod person.
The exposition conductor chimes in to let them know that Daeshong will be their final destination, like the movie, as the military is deployed there to take them into safety. Daeshong.
It sounded like you said Daeshong.
Yeah, that's kind of how they pronounce it. Yes, I know it's with an S. I have it properly spelled in my notes here. Look, I already said that the pronunciations are be good. Okay, I have Korean relatives, so I'm allowed to mispronounce Korean words, okay?
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Creon Musk ducks into the bathroom to take a phone call, foreshadowing that Daeshong might not be so safe to get off at. But this Busan place is still good, because it's in the title. Sok has the brilliant idea to make a phone call himself, and while he's away, Sang asks Suwon what is her dad's job, and he's an executive fund manager, or in his words, a bloodsucker. His wife elbows him and offers Suwon some troll sour gummy worms. Look at that product placement there. Everybody keeps giving this kid free stuff. What is this, commie propaganda? Are we sure this wasn't made by North Korea and not South Korea? I'm just kidding. She then introduces her to Sleepy, her unborn child. Suwon asks, "You named your kid Sleepy?" That wouldn't be the strangest name I've heard for a child. I once knew somebody that named their kid Apple. So, yeah.
There are strange names out there, yes.
It's only a placeholder name until it becomes plot relevant for Sang to name her. He adds that he made that thing. Right, sure you did, cuck. I mean, buddy. Also, are we going to get a zombie baby? Fingers crossed. Hopefully it's better than that one from the Dawn of the Dead remake, because that one was terrible CGI. Back with Sok, he's on the phone with his random military buddy he happens to know to find out the details about Daeshong. See, now I spelled it with a J. I don't know.
There's a J in the title.
Okay.
I think it's
Daeshong.
Yeah, it's Daeshong Station.
I don't know why I spelled it a different way in the other one. I was probably trying to just get autocorrect to stop correcting it, so I'm I just kept typing in different ways. Then I finally looked it up. Yeah, he says Daeshong, it's safe. My question is, though, how the hell does he know this random military guy? It's like a lieutenant or something?
I don't know.
It's safe, but they'll be placed in quarantine. And Sock can't have that for some reason, so he offers up some stock tips for the LT to help him out. Yeah, here's one for you. Don't buy into chemical-related stocks right now. They're all going to tank because chemicals made the zombies or some nonsense like that. There's your stock tip of the day. The LT agrees and tells him to avoid the main square, instead go to the east, and he'll tell his men. But Sock notices he wasn't alone. The hobo overheard the call. Great, that just means we can get this guy off the train and into the bum fight sooner. We get an establishing shot of the Daejeon station, and man, does everything look pristine here. Nice continuity work here, guys. No destruction. This establishing shot, like it's just all a nice train station. There's no bodies or anything, but once you get into the train station, like you see like, something's not on the up and up here. You think they would have seen a little bit of that going in. Like all the cars are neatly parked and everything. There's no exploding buildings. No, you know what I mean? No fires or anything.
It's the old.
It was one of those things. It was probably shot in real time without having to set up the set or anything. You know what I mean?
These are high-speed trains also.
Right. It wasn't like a closed-off set type deal is what I'm getting at, probably.
Yeah. I mean, in the movie, it's a high-speed train. Okay.
Yeah.
I know they're slowing down. Stop it. But good.
The train pulls into the station, but it looks abandoned. Clearly, Korean Musk is the most important person here, so he pushes his way to the exit, the train first, with everyone else following. He runs to the front of the train to talk to the conductor because he really wants Ben Johnson's autograph. Oh wait, wrong movie. I mean, he wants him to detach the train and take him to Busan. But the conductor says that they don't have the equipment here to do it. Korean Musk counters, do you see the military here? Good point, Korean Musk. First you give good career advice about working hard. You display a clear sense of self-preservation, and now making astute observations and making decisions based on them. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ruined for Korean Elon Musk here. He's the real hero of this movie, along with Sang. Actually, he has the inside scoop from his earlier phone call that Daejeon has been cut off and the sea has been quarantined. But Busan is still open. Busan's kind of our MacGuffin here.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what MacGuffin is.
No. Sounds like a spy thing.
It's a plot device. It's like a thing that somebody is after. You can look it up and read more about it. Okay. That drives the plot along.
Sounds like a dog that says don't do dope.
Here's an example. So like in Indiana Jones and the Last
Crusade. McGruff or whatever the dog.
In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the Holy Grail's the MacGuffin.
Yeah, okay.
I think there's one, I forget what comedy it is. There's literally like...
It's the Final Destination.
Where they call it a MacGuffin.
It's the Final Destination. Or it's what they're looking for.
Yes, it's what they're trying to acquire. They're trying to get to Busan for safety, so it's the MacGuffin. Yeah, not the best definition, but you can look it up. So the conductor wants to tell the others and check the station first to make sure. Korean Musk isn't too happy about this decision. Back with the rest of the passengers, they make their way through the deserted station strewn with luggage to the main square. But Sock does his best solid snake and takes a detour through the police barricade. His little goody two-shoes daughter, there's an anime reference there, questions why they aren't going with the others. But Hobo Korean Crazy Ralph wants to tag along and not be put into quarantine too. Suan wants to go to tell the others, but Sock grabs her before she can, telling her to forget about them, and they have to stick together. What a jerk. Very selfish. Suan gets the big puppy dog's eyes and turns on them tears and says that he only cares about himself and that's why mommy left him. She really socked it to him there. Get it? Socked it to him. Sock.
I'm hitting the rolls eyes button. Rolls eyes button. It's not working. Can you see it, people?
Press X to roll his eyes. Also, he clearly cares about you. Otherwise, he would have tossed you to be a zombie chum a while ago, you little brat. How ungrateful, trying to save this kid's life. Man, all of this would seem much more selfish if most of the passengers weren't about to die in the next couple of scenes with no way of being prevented regardless of what Sock would have done anyways. Spoiler alert.
Too soon.
Back with the others, Sang spots a bloody riot shield. I think that would be my first indication that the zombies have taken over.
I'd like it.
And right on cue, as the exit at the bottom of the stairs/escalators comes into view, the group spots the military. Military zombies, that is, who turn and attack the group as they try to escape back up the stairs. And that's why you don't use escalators. They work against you if you have to turn around and run up them. Meanwhile, a man stumbles in the hallway by Sock, Suan, and my future bum fighting champion, and they approach him. But Sock receives a phone call from his LT buddy who says he can't reach his squad there. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, the last man left in his squad is this wounded guy, but zombies round the corner and quickly fall upon him. We then go into slow motion as Sock runs for his daughter, who's about to become a zombie chow, but is saved by Sang. And again, why isn't this guy our lead again? He's the one doing all the work. And, you know, actually being a likable character. I'm not saying you can't have an unlikable protagonist, but you have to give them some sort of redeeming quality. And Sock just doesn't really earn it here.
I think it emerges towards the end.
Well, that's part of his redemption arc, but usually they're at least a cool guy. Like, they could be a dick, they can be selfish and everything, but there's some sort of redeeming thing there that makes you want to root for their survival, root for their redemption to, you know, redeem themselves and become... It's just not here for Sock for me.
You don't like Sock, you do like Sock. I'm so confused.
Well, I like his selfish attitude. In real life, self-preservation, looking out for numero uno. But for movie terms, like as a likable character, I'm not rooting for this guy.
All right, well then you're rooting for Sang.
So Sung grabs Suan and they run for safety. Before Sok can catch up with the others, a zombie leaps on top of him, but he prevents it from biting him by shoving a book in its mouth. See, you don't read books in horror movies. You just use them for defense. Sang and the remains of the baseball team close the doors and bar the handles with sticks, and can only watch the carnage in the terminals as zombies bite, tear, and rip apart the helpless fodder. But Sok is still wrestling with the zombie, but our future bum fight champion saves the day by dropping his jacket over the zombie's head, allowing Sok to get away. The hobo and Sok run through the doors to safety, but military zombie reinforcements are quickly on the scene and press up against the glass doors, preventing them from being locked. Back with the others, the first group of survivors reach the train and open the door to the car where all the zombies are contained. You couldn't see them through the windows? Dummies! I feel like I need that soundbite from Dawn of the Dead of the doctor saying, dummies! I love that soundbite.
Dummies.
The others run to the front car devoid of zombies and they begin to board. But before everyone can get on, CGI zombies break through the glass tunnel above, and they're very, very CGI with the glass shattering. It doesn't hold up well. Spilling out and falling onto the train. And this is where that scene comes up. So with one tumbling to the ground and breaking its arm, separating the commie lady from her sister, Sung and Suan. Well, he gets up and you see his arm is still all broken and everything. I'm like, oh, so now zombies falling and breaking their limbs matter. How plot convenient. This forces this group to run and board a car further back on the train, while the others are in the front, with the zombies occupying the middle train cars. Oh, the suspense. I'm sure that's not going to come up later.
Nope.
Oh, wait. Just as they're about to close the back door, the hobo shows up begging to be let in. Please get him on there. He's the fifth fight on my card facing off against George Buck Flower. Good old Buck Flower.
Hash
There's a
Ashby.
guy.
He's going to fight Ash.
Oh, Hap Ashby, yeah. That's for the title bout. If he beats Buck Flower, that's the qualifying match. Then he can fight Hap Ashby.
Best baseball player ever.
For the World Bum Fighting Championship of the world.
Hap Ashby.
Up front, Korean Musk is ready to leave, but the cheerleader wants to wait for her friends. We also get a good look at the remaining survivors, and the count has certainly dwindled to a handful. The steward radios the conductor to depart, though. Meanwhile, Sang, Sok, and the trio of baseball players are still fiddling with the door. They finally manage to lock it, but the glass starts to crack. That's what happens when you go with the lowest bid contractor, people. Shoddy materials and workmanship. They run for it as the zombies burst through and give chase. I'd like to point out that they use sped up footage to make the zombies look faster a lot here and throughout the movie. It just kind of seems jarring and unnatural to me. There's nothing wrong with using sped up footage in movies, but it just conflicts with the regular scenes of zombies. Like when you see and give them chase and you still have regular humans in the shot, because they have to still show those at regular speed, because otherwise the humans would be moving too fast as well. So it just seems, it doesn't mesh well for me. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got you.
I don't have a problem with fast zombies. It just doesn't mesh well. But the gang better hurry because the train kept a-rolling all night long. 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 I'm in heat. I'm in love. Yeah, now you get it.
Know,
oh my
I know.
God. I was waiting. I thought you were going to finish the line for me at first, and you left me hanging. Don't leave me hanging, Scary Perry.
I didn't leave you hanging.
Don't be a Delores and leave me hanging.
I'm not leaving you hanging. Well, if you were hanging off the edge of a building, I might leave you hanging. What? Anyways,
at the bottom of the stairs, two of the baseball players are picked off and sent back to the dugout. Permanently. But don't worry, cheerleader Simp is still alive. The three of them run for the closest train car, with Simp and Sok boarding, but Sang is still running to get aboard with Sok reaching for his arm.
There's a lot of S's.
There is a lot of S's in this movie. Is he going to make it? He better. He's the best reason to watch this movie right now. So Sang grabs a riot shield and club, bashing and checking three zombies in front of him out of his way as he makes it to Sok, who pulls him to safety right before Tubi takes a break. Speaking of which, now that we have a break in the action, I think now's a good time for us to take a break as well. And we're back.
A dinosaur story.
Well, Daejeon was a bust. So next stop, Busan. Let's hope they get there quick. Wait, there's still over an hour left in this movie? Ugh. One criticism I have of this movie, I think it's a bit too long for what it's trying to set out to accomplish. I don't have a problem with movies going over 90 minutes, 2 hours or anything, but have a good reason to. So, unfortunately, Sung, Suwon, Korean hobo, and Kami Lady's sister boarded the train between two cars full of zombies. They try to sneak into a bathroom to hide, but one of the zombies notices them and jams its face in the door just as they try to shut it. The others hear it and rush to attack as well. Oh, so now they can hear things. The conductor lets them know that the final destination is Busan. Korean Musk radios back some exposition. Something about missing their chance sounds kind of shady to me. At this moment, I'm like, General Andreas Dalton? Is that you? And this is where I wish I had the dub cast because I could confirm my suspicions here if this is the same voice actor that does that character.
The only one I saw when I searched is Chris Sabat, who does the voice of Vegeta.
Okay.
That's it.
Who'd he do?
I don't know.
It doesn't tell you who he did. He
No.
just is. Okay. That's why I hate about it. Is very hard to find dub cast.
I looked at a few different websites and I couldn't find anything.
So if anybody knows how to conveniently find these dub casts, let me know. And also let me know if this guy is actually General Andreas Dalton. That's also back-to-back Code Geass references.
But do you think it's that guy, Chris Sabat?
No, I don't think that's the guy. The voice sounds very similar to a character from a show that I watch, which I'm referencing here. So, which I made a reference in the last episode to Code Geass as well. So that's back-to-back Code Geass references in 2 episodes. Now, how can I work Hitler into this episode? I don't think I could do it in this one. Anyways, ring ring, telephone, it's simping for cheerleader. Breaking the news that no one else made it from the baseball team. Sounds like this kid just got promoted to the major leagues. Sang calls and finds out that his wife and the others are trapped in the bathroom in car 13. How unlucky of a number. Sock looks at the next car filled with zombies, but Sang points out that if you manage to get there, how would they get back? Simp points out that car 15 is safe, so they can just head there after reaching them. Now, Sang says that's 4 cars away. You're in car 9. Car 13 where they're at is 4 cars away. But he just said car 15 for the safety. That would be 6 cars away. Sang, buddy, you can't be making mistakes like this. You're going to quickly lose my favorite status here if you keep having bad math skills like that. They gear up for the rescue mission. Whoa, Sang, buddy, why did you just take off your jacket? You know, it's not much, it's a thin layer, but that's extra zombie protection. You know, if they try to bite you, the guy bite through your clothes. Sang, don't fall apart on me at the halfway point, buddy. Come on. Sang takes the lead, and they slowly muscle their way through the zombies, with Sang redeeming himself as a badass. However, as I watch the simp beating zombies with his bat, I can't help but think that he should have pulled a Chuck Green and put nails in it. Just saying, you know, for all my Dead Rising fans out there. And the music is, again, pretty bland for a cool action scene. They manage to make it to the next car, which houses the simp's zombified former teammates. He hesitates, forcing Sang and Sock to step up to the plate and take them on. I didn't realize how many baseball puns I actually wrote into this. But they are quickly overwhelmed, but before Simp can summon up the courage to strike out his former friends, the train enters another tunnel, and the zombies stop attacking, twisting their heads, searching blindly in the dark. So they can't see in the dark, and they can't hear the people that are literally a foot away from them, who are probably heavily breathing from all the intense action they've been doing. That's kind of weird to me. Oh, I spoke too soon. A bunch of baseballs falls out of a duffel bag from the luggage rack and hit the floor, and all the zombies, they turn and look. So now they can hear again? I just kind of wish they were more consistent. It seems like they're kind of forcing some things to make these zombies work for plot convenience.
I mean, in I Am Legend, he goes in the dark to chase his dog. He's breathing heavy and stuff, but they're not noticing him. But like, I think something like that happens, and then they start chasing him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Not
kind of
baseballs,
inconsistent
but
with
like,
how well they
yeah.
can hear and how well they can't hear. It's just so
don't know.
strange.
Zombie.
You can do
laws,
whatever
you
you
know?
want with zombies.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing is just you have to be consistent, and it seems like they're forcing plot convenience here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, oh, we're in the dark, so now we're just going to stand here not moving until we hear any random noise and then run to it. But it's like, how loud does that noise have to be? You know, it's confusing. So Sock taps on the rack with his bat, and all the zombies rush to that spot, allowing the 3 to sneak by. But just as they're about to make it to the next car, the train exits the tunnel, and the zombies rush to attack. Sang closes the door just as the zombies slam into it. So 2 cars down, only 2 more to get to, and 4 more to safety. The gang pauses to catch their breath in the connection between the cars, and use their newfound knowledge to try and make their way through the next zombie-filled car. The train enters another tunnel, so Sock takes Sang's phone. They sneak halfway into the train car and take cover in the seats. Then Sock tosses the phone behind him and calls the phone with his, using the ringtone to lure the zombies to the back of the car out of their path. And hey, they've arrived at the bathroom. Wait a minute, that was only 3 cars they went through. Unless the bathroom straddles cars 12 and 13? I'm still calling bullshit on this one. But the train leaves the tunnel, so the guys are forced to duck into the other bathroom. They take a moment to have a dick measuring contest. And speaking of dick measuring contest, Perry, do you like dick measuring contest?
I do like dick.
I had a feeling. Sock checks the train route, and the next tunnel gives them 2 minutes to get to safety. Back with the others, Simp texts the cheerleader that the others are making their way to their car, and Korean General Elon Andreas Dalton Musk throws a temper tantrum about they better be sure that none of them have been bitten and infected fighting through all the zombies. Good point, Korean Musk. There's a good chance that somebody could have gotten bitten fighting through all this. It's almost as if there is some foreshadowing. It's at this point that the cheerleader kind of sounds familiar too, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm thinking maybe Shirley from Code Geass, although maybe it could be Catherine from Catherine, the sexy dream Catherine, not the real life girlfriend Catherine, the video game Catherine for anybody that's played that.
I was just reading real quick, your Korean Elon Musk, that's who people think Chris Sabat voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It could be.
Not the main character.
Meanwhile, the train goes into the next tunnel, and the others creep out of the bathrooms. Just how sensitive is the zombies' hearing if they didn't hear the door creak open when right next to it? Like, literally, there's a zombie standing right here, and they're like, "Argh," and then like the door creaks open, and, you know, it's a kind of creaky door with the joints and stuff. Probably need lubed up.
Gotta lube those doors.
That's right. Unfortunately, there's a throng of zombies right in their path, but they decide to shimmy past them on the luggage racks, leading to Sock throwing a duffel bag to lure them away from the exit. Everything is going smoothly until Korean Crazy Ralph slips and falls to the floor. Quietly, though, so as not to alert the zombies. Sock goes back to help him. Hey, is our hero finally arcing? But the train exits the tunnel. Bum bum bum. Sock and the hobo duck behind the seats, while the others hide behind the walls of the connection to the next car, so the zombies can't smell them either. That hobo has to probably reek, you know what I mean? Sock and the hobo plan to make a run for the others on the count of 3. But after the 2 count, the hobo steps on an empty soda can. So that was loud enough for them to hear, but the bathroom door opening wasn't. And hold on a sec. I have to call my bookie and switch my bet from Korean Hobo here to Buck Flower. I don't like his chances if he's making mistakes like that. Not aware of his surroundings. So the gig is up, so the 2 of them run to the others, making a mad dash to the next car with the zombies giving chase. Sang tries to close the door once the others are inside, but a zombie's head manages to squeeze through, preventing him from doing so. He stays back while the others try to open the door, but can't because the rest of the passengers have roped it shut with various clothing and stuff, and Korean Musk has the steward restrain the cheerleader so she can't help and crushes her phone. Sock runs back to help Sang, while Simp beats on the other door with his baseball bat. Yeah, I can't help but notice we got zombies on a train here. When's the boss fight with the giant scorpion going to happen? Granted, that scorpion's not too hard to beat. Literally, this is another knife spamming. Man, imagine Resident Evil games and knife spamming. It's a Resident Evil 0 reference. Zombies on a train. I think they did it before this movie did it, too. Because this was 2016. Resident Evil 0 came out on the GameCube, which was probably... I'm not too concerned about it.
You mean the punching gloves?
Yes, the punching glove game system. I mean, why else would they put that handle on there? See, that's what I need to remake Death Walks at Midnight, but instead of using the... just put spikes on a GameCube and just have them mash it into the face of somebody.
Yeah, 2002 was Resident Evil 0.
I'm like, oh, wait, that... Yeah, see? Oh, wait, that is a different thing with zombies on a train. Never mind.
Jeez.
And look at me giving you all...
I will not be your fact finder anymore,
Look at me giving you guys all these free pro video game tips. When to use the knife in a Resident Evil game.
You're such a pro.
Hey, that is a pro tip.
We're only pro at Mech Warrior 2. That's it.
Mech Assault 2?
It was a Mech Assault, excuse me.
If you say so. Sang is struggling to maintain his grip, so he shifts his left hand onto the other side of the sliding door, comically allowing the zombie's head, like whatever prop they use or person, it just goes shoop, it slides up like it's on this like little slide type thing. I don't know. It was just comical to me. But yeah, so it slides up comically and bite his hand. Well, my main incentive to continue watching is gone. Time to shut off the movie. Well, I guess Korean Elon Musk is still in this, so I still have a horse in this race yet. Sip finally busts through the door, shatterproof glass my ass, and makes a run for the next car. But Korean Musk runs over and closes the next door on his arm. And some others manage to rush over and help him. But Kami Lady sees her sister and the cheerleader, bites the steward's hand to free herself, and they rush over to try and open the door. Back with Sang and Sock, they are making headway, beating back the zombies, but the glass door is starting to crack. Uh-oh. Now we get the sob scene with Sung approaching and crying, and Sang, realizing his fate, tells Sock to take her and go. Sock apologizes to him, and then grabs Sung to run off. But before he does, Sang yells back and finally gives their unborn daughter a name. Moonchild! Alright, so I gotta ask you, because I feel like this is a Mandela effect thing. Do you get the reference there? Finally gives her a name. Never ending story. You know, Bastion has to give a name.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Oh, well, then you probably aren't going to get this. And I think there's others that think this too. It's like one of those Mandela effect things that he just yells out some random gibberish. But I guess it's actually Moonchild that he yells out. And I've been like I'm like, where's the clip where he yells gibberish? I guess it's just because the storm muffles it or something. I even thought Robot Chicken references, but they even said Moonchild. I'm like, well, I guess I was wrong. Either that or I'm living in a universe that has collided with another universe now.
Uh-oh. You're crossing zones.
And with that, the glass finally shatters. Sock takes Sung with him while Sang goes badass for one more time, trying to hold back the horde while trying to fight off the transformation that's been used in a ton of zombie movies. You know, like in Dawn of the Dead, but it proves too much and he eventually gives way to the mass of zombies. And hey, Who knew all it took to force open the door was the added strength of Sock to the group. They force the door open and Sock stumbles into the next car. And in slow motion for added dramatic effect, he turns and runs to grab his crybaby daughter and Sung and pull them into the next car. Really, kid, you couldn't have run by yourself because you're too busy blubbering when you haven't once cried like in this entire movie? But Kami's sister doesn't fare so well, though, as when Sock turns to look back at her, she just shakes her head no and stands there like she's Clark Kent's dad waiting to die. Seriously, her death was just about as pointless as that. We then return to normal, less dramatic speed, and Sock shuts the door. They're safe, for now. Then Sock socks it to Korean Musk and shouts at him for not opening the door. But Musk counters that he must be infected and convinces the steward and the others to have them quarantined in the front vestibule, away from the others as they collectively yell at them. What a bunch of dicks. That must mean you really like them, huh, Scary Perry? Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to play the clip there. And the hilariously terrible dubbing continues during this entire scene as they all shout at him. They take their sweet old time, taking the walk of shame to the vestibule, and the others start to tie the door shut. But what's this? The Kami has some inner dumb monologue about her sister and decides the others don't deserve to live and opens the door, allowing the zombies to flood inside and massacre the no-named, destined to die passengers. That's about what I expect from a Kami. And then again, wouldn't a true communist care about the greater good of the people and agree with the others' mentality for their safety? But hey, at least our main cast is safe. After that, the conductor is trying to radio control, but he gets no response. That's not a good sign. We get another pause in the action with a drawn-out, somber moment with the others. Is it time for Zombie Baby? Unfortunately, look, people, I hate to disappoint, but this Zombie Baby ain't happening. Oh, so we get some more sappy crap about why Suwon couldn't sing because her dad wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. I really don't care. Let's speed this along. Come on. The movie's like almost 2 hours. Seriously, I get the need for the sentimental stuff to make you feel for the characters, but in this bloated movie, some of this stuff could have been trimmed down just a little bit. You still could have got the gist across and maintained a decent pace. Sock tries to call someone, his wife, but gets no answer. But his assistant calls to say that the Busan MacGuffin is still in play and has mounted a successful defense. He also dumps some more exposition about some bio company, we'll call them Korean Umbrella, was responsible for the outbreak, and is also the main company in their portfolio and has an existential crisis about their culpability in the matter. Look, buddy, I don't think worrying about the net worth of your stock portfolio is important right now. Plus, you're just shareholders. Dump the responsibility on the board of directors, vote them out, and stage a hostile takeover once the stock tanks. That's the 80s way. After he hangs up, Sock washes his hands. Finally, he's been covered in infected blood forever, and has a bit of a breakdown himself. I don't know if it's because he feels responsible for being involved with Korean Umbrella's investment, or if the stress of the situation is getting to him. Is he feeling guilt and regret over not being a better father? Don't know, don't care, and the movie really doesn't tell us. Let's hurry up and make sure this train keeps a rolling all night long. This movie should have been over by now. The train starts to break because of wrecked freight cars blocking the track, and he radios their main passengers that they can either stay and wait to see if they are rescued, or to follow himself to the far left track as he boards another train to start it up for the trip to Busan.
They're at the East Daegu train station.
Oh, are they? I don't know if they mentioned it in there. It might be on the signs or whatever.
They do.
And hey, look who survived by cowering in a bathroom. Korean Musk and the steward. For as many times as I've seen it in this movie, I'm beginning to think that you could easily ride out any zombie outbreak by just locking yourself in the bathroom. That doesn't bode well for your plan of staying at the gas station, Ferry. There's no bathroom there yet to lock yourself into. I mean, there's still those porta-johns out there. Do you think you could ride out the zombie apocalypse in a porta-john? I feel like that's not a safe bathroom.
I'm not going in there. I'll stay in the gas station. I'll lock the gas station.
Okay.
I'll cover the windows with the stuff.
Oh, there you go. But then what if the stuff starts attacking you?
It's not. It loves me.
Sure it does.
I'm its master.
The conductor starts to make his way to look for a train, taking a shortcut through one of the stranded train cars and quickly closing the door behind him before the zombies on board can follow him. Take note, kids. That's going to be important coming up. The main group decides they are going to board the other train, so they debark and navigate their way through the labyrinth of stranded and wrecked cars in the rail yard while the conductor gets this train rolling again. Meanwhile, Korean Musk takes a peek out the bathroom door. Yep, still a ton of zombies out there, but he lies to the steward and tells him it's clear and shoves him out there to be zombie bait, while he makes a clean getaway. Let that be a lesson to you. If you want to survive a zombie outbreak, just make sure your friends are dumb, gullible, or out of shape and slower than you, and then you can use them as zombie bait so you can get away. I think Zombieland has a joke about that. Cardio, like the first to go are the fatties. Back with the main group, they are looking for a way past the train cars blocking their path. Couldn't you just crawl under them, right? I don't know if they're like an electrical railway system and if there's like a live wire rail under there, like in subway tunnels. You know, you gotta be careful because there's the one you could like step on and electrocute yourself, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how their train system works.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd imagine.
Even then, I think like as long as you have some basic knowledge and like you knew which one was the live rail, you could crawl under, because it looks like there's enough room. You could crawl under those. It's not all just giant wheels blocking your path. But hey, a movie's got a movie, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be suspense. So as the conductor gets the train rolling, there's something coming down the other track. It's a flaming train.
You okay over there?
Yeah. That reference might be a bit more explaining. I couldn't find a better spot to work in this joke from Stand By Me, when they go slow-mo and he yells train.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a train coming towards them.
Okay.
That's the best part I wanted to put it in here. Sip and Jenny find a safe car to cross through. Oh yeah, I forgot. I was supposed to call her Jenny. Well, looks like that joke went out the window. Oh well. But the flaming train comes barreling through, knocking over train cars and separating them from the others. So the two of them head into a different train to cross, leaving the door behind them open. But the next door is stuck, so they have to try to bust open the window to get out. Who's this coming up into view in the background? It's Elon Musk. He hops on board and throws Jenny into the path of pursuing zombie, and she gets munched on. See, what did I say a moment ago? Just like the Resident Evil board game, you should always close the door behind you so the zombies can't follow you through. Simp runs back to fend off the zombies and be with his girl while Korean Musk hops out through the window. The simp is too busy crying like a loser while Jenny just dies in his arms. Tonight?
That's a good one. No, hit it.
And she turns into a zombie and bites his neck. Get busy simping or get busy dying. I think that one's kind of funny too. Yeah, sorry, movie. Your sappy score isn't going to make me feel anything for these two, considering she was dissing him at the beginning. Well, I should say the beginning of stuff actually happening in this movie, not the first 20 minutes that was all about the Sok and Suwon exposition. Feels like it was back at the beginning of this movie. As for the others, they're trapped between two train cars, and one's leaning against the other and slowly giving way to collapse on them at any moment. Also, the train that's slowly falling on them is filled with zombies. Oh, the suspense. Meanwhile, the conductor is making sure the train kept a-rolling.
The other train.
Yes, all night long. But he sees Korean Musk running toward the locomotive with zombies chasing him. But he trips and falls, so the conductor hops off the terror train to Busan to help him. But as the conductor nears, Korean Musk throws him into the path of a zombie who pounces on him. I think. I had to talk about the editing in this part because it is very weird, because it's kind of terrible and confusing. So he throws the conductor back towards this zombie. It's clear you could tell what clothes are on the zombie, so it's the same zombie. But then we cut to Korean Musk, and the same zombie, because you can tell from the shirt sleeves on the arms, is clawing at his chest like right here, with then what sounds like someone being bitten. Then we cut to Korean Musk kicking the zombie off himself. And you can note it's his black pants, Korean Elon Musk here, because he's got black pants on. The conductor has like this blue uniform on with blue pants. He kicks it, and there's nobody behind the zombie anymore. And then we cut back to the zombie being on top of the conductor. So we're going to assume that after he threw the conductor towards the zombie, that the zombie leapt over the conductor and ignored the human right in front of him, grabbed Elon Musk and bit him, and then was kicked back onto the conductor, and then bit devours the conductor.
It's just a goof they did.
Yeah, I think they needed something to set up for later that's about to come up, but it just fucks up the continuity, and it doesn't make logical sense either. So he throws the conductor back towards the zombie, and the zombie pounced on him, so the zombie would just be preoccupied with attacking that person at that moment. Yeah, that was one that I'm like, what is going on here? I had to rewind it. I rewind this scene several times during my notes just because I was so very confused by what transpired, But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was just kind of weird. I know they need to establish that, and you don't see the on-screen bite, you just hear it off-screen of Korean Musk getting bit. It's to set up for later for his transformation scene. So the conductor begs for help, but Korean Musk sees more zombies closing in, so he makes a run for the train. In his defense, the guy was bitten already and couldn't be saved anyway. Why the hell would this conductor trade his own life to save Korean Musk? I know he didn't know he was going to toss him towards the zombies, but, well, the zombie's already grabbing him, Can I really get there in time to save him? See, everybody should have just been more selfish in this movie, and they probably would have survived. Back with the others, that car is getting close to crushing them, but Sok finds a gap to squeeze through. But before the others can sneak through, some debris falls and blocks the path. While Sok tries to move the heavy debris, one of the windows breaks, allowing a few zombies to tumble into the area the others are trapped in. Korean hobo Crazy Ralph screams and lunges at them and holds them back with some loose tubing. Sok clears the debris, and Sung and Suwon escape, but Korean hobo with a better stash than Scary Perry stays behind to make the ultimate sacrifice as the rest of the windows burst and zombies pour out and engulf him. Damn, now I have to call the bum fight promoter and find someone else for Buckflower to fight. It's sad that Korean hobo had so much potential. He had the heart of a champion. Our 3 remaining survivors take off as the train finishes falling on its side, and zombies begin to climb over and follow them. How did the zombies get out from under the car that literally just collapsed on top of them? When the windows on the now skyward facing side are still intact, it'd take a little bit of time for them to beat through there, so that's a little strange. The other thing is it's leaning up because you see it's leaning up against that other car. So it would have like probably fallen like this, pitting the car against the other car. Yeah. These zombies literally, though, in the next scene, just climb straight over this car as if there's like a space between them, but there isn't. And you don't see them climbing over the other train. It's just something that I noticed. You shouldn't be thinking about it because you just should be thinking about the suspense of the tension that's going on in this action. But I don't know, just on because the first time I just watch and take handwritten notes for funny little things that my amusing tidbit notes, funny quips that I want to include. Then I come back, I sit down, I watch it slower paced, typing notes for the show. And I just noticed that I'm like, wait, there can't be any gap between those cars for zombies to be climbing over the one car and not be climbing over the second car. So it's just another one of those weird continuity errors. They can't be the zombies in the train because they would still be trapped in the train because it fell. Even if you assume they're other zombies, how would they know to climb the train like that there's other people on the other side? They can't see them, which sight is important, and I doubt they can hear them running. I mean, they're running on gravel, so that's kind of noisy, but a train just fell. That was super loud. You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me they're going to hear the gravel? Can they smell them? Can they now smell pretty well, too?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I know I'm picking it apart a little bit here, but it just was a little bit of like another glaring continuity thing. Anyways, a few pointless slow-mo zombie close-ups and a normal speed chase scene where a throng of zombies trip over each other to create a zombie pile-up later, and our trio make it to the safety of the locomotive. I make another point here about, you see the zombies running at regular human speeds when they're chasing in the overhead shot of the group of our survivors. I joke, it's like they can only move super fast when there are no humans in the shot, so they can speed up the footage. Which is true, but it's what they had to do. I said earlier, it's kind of jarring. So I just like the mass of fallen zombies just comically can't get up. It's kind of funny. Like there's still others that run past the group that trips over themselves, but...
So that scene, you know what it reminded me of? What movie? They showed a lot in their preview for the movie. World War Z.
Yes.
Because they do that like
kind of
to
pile
get on,
up,
on top of a wall.
That's what was that what you wanted to talk about earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And there's a scene like that in that train car where they kind of pile up and I think it just doesn't work with the real life practical shot scenes. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's CGI as heck.
Yeah, but like in World War Z, they do that consistently. Not saying that's a good movie. I really don't care for that movie. In that, it's a little more consistent. You see it more often, them coming together as a throng. But in this one, you see enough of them running as a group where they're not like super tight. This one wasn't intentional. It's just like they literally tripped over themselves and now they're in a mass and they can't move because they're all trying to climb up and get back up on their feet on top of each other.
Yeah, I got you.
However, some of the zombies manage to grab and hang onto the handle rails as the train drags them, and more grab and climb onto each other, forming a giant sled of zombies being pulled along by the train.
That's what I'm...
That scene? Okay.
Well, I mean, when it's, when they're trying to...
Yeah, I get you.
Like in World War Z, they scale up a wall,
Yes. Yeah, they're leaping and grabbing onto the next guy so they can try and climb aboard. Sock climbs down to stomp on their hands and dodges a zombie so hard that it turns into a bad CGI effect as it cuts to bouncing off the ground. I'm assuming it kind of looks like a real zombie, like they have lunge at it, but then cuts where he dodges it, and then now it's definitely CGI and like smacks off this thing that's on the ground. It's pretty comical. He manages to break their grip with his stomping, and the mass of zombies tumbles away from the train. The three aren't out of the woods yet as Sock heads to the locomotive's cabin, only to discover that Creon Musk is beginning to transform into a zombie, or as I like to call it, he's transforming into Korean Mark Zuckerberg. And to think, he was just trying to get to Busan to see his mommy, or so he says. I don't know. He talks about his mommy. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Now fully transformed, Korean Zuckerberg attacks Sock, who wrestles him to the floor and hangs over the edge of the locomotive. After an eternity, Sung finally runs over to help Sock and pull off Korean Zuckerberg. I love how people take forever to help out people in danger in movies. Let me just sit there and watch. I could be helping, but it's kind of like the bad guys attacking one at a time trope in movies too. It's like, why don't we all just get him at once? No, we'll wait for the one guy to go in, get his ass kicked, and now it's my turn. But Korean Zuck turns to attack Sung. Sock runs and put his hands around Korean Zuck to pull him away. Now, this dumb idiot puts his one hand around the zombie's mouth. Literally, you could have put it anywhere around this guy, his body, and you chose to put your hand right on his mouth, the one part where you could get bitten and become infected. And this is the guy the movie wanted us to root for. And you could, like, if you put it around his shoulder, that easily restrains his arms. His neck can't reach down to get you. Why did you put your hand around his freaking mouth?
Maybe just,
I know he had the moment, but still, Come on. You should know better. Heck, I don't want to grab most people by the head in a fight anyway, you know what I mean? Like, unless I'm putting him in a chokehold.
Yeah.
And that's what he should have done. He should have just went in a chokehold, then it couldn't bite you, and you got the leverage on it. But, well, I don't know. Maybe this guy needs to take a few fighting lessons from, our Korean bun fighters or something. So, of course, Sokka's bitten on the hand, but he hooks himself onto this chain.
So, in this part, when he gets bit, his hand looks incredibly fake. In the
Oh, does it?
It does.
It happened so quick I didn't linger on it that I missed it.
I'm like, wow.
It's a shame because there are some decent practical effects with the blood, and, they're clever about it because it's low budget, so there's a lot of cutaway, and I don't have a problem with that. Most of the effects is just kind of like blood splattered. Like, you don't explicitly see too many people get bit. There's only a couple, and most of the effects, like the zombie makeup, looks pretty decent, I'd say. I didn't notice that one, though, so that's interesting. Man, low budget,
Oh, they probably
at least that's my one thing with bad practical effects. At least there's still some. I feel like a bad practical effect can at least be comically bad. It's still kind of funny and there's a charm to it. Whereas bad CGI, I'll talk more about this in my last bite, but bad CGI I don't find much entertainment from it. Unless, it's intentionally like a very low budget spoof type thing with intentionally bad CGI for the purpose of bad CGI. That's a little more passable. He hooks this chain onto himself so he can lean overboard and throw Korean Zuckerberg off the train without falling himself. Well, so much for Korean Mark Zuckerberg. More like Mark Zucka burned. Oh man, that's one of those things that's in the news. I don't know if you heard about the fight those two want to do.
No.
You haven't heard about that?
No. Is it Meta versus X?
Well, no, they actually want to have like a physical fight. MMA fight type deal.
What?
I don't know. People think like Zuckerberg would kick his ass because he actually does like karate and stuff. I don't know. My money might be on Musk though.
I was like high tech.
He'll pull a wrestling move, but rather than
he has high tech implant in his hand.
Rather than throw pocket sand in the guy's eyes, he'll throw Dogecoins. While the ref isn't looking, he'll pull a wrestling move. Oh. But in all seriousness, if this is the voice actor that also did the voice for General Dalton, that guy just can't catch a break. Press F to pay respects. Sok takes his blubbering daughter and Sung to the cabin and tells Sung to use the brake when they're in a safe area. I love how he says, I think this is the brake. Gee, you mean this thing in bright red with the label dynamic brake in English? Granted, it is in English, but he's kind of in a decent position, probably well educated. A lot of times they know English, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he just,
English is taught in foreign schools a lot because it's the
on.
Language of the business world.
Becoming a zombie, he doesn't know.
Maybe
he forgot English at that second.
Yeah, gee, this giant thing that's labeled brake. Yeah, I think that's the brake. Then we get the sappy goodbye between Sok and his daughter. Blah, blah, blah. Look, can this movie end yet? How's there 12 minutes left in this when the main character's finally going to die? And look, it's not that I don't appreciate the heartfelt scene and I'm a cold person. Well, okay, so maybe I am a cold person. Look, time has made me very cynical and jaded. I'm sorry.
I need a coat.
And I was touched.
You seem to be radiating some cold.
Yeah. I was touched by it the first time and shed a tear for them. But on repeat viewings and like on the second time for typed notes, it just feels like a slog. I'm just like, get on with it already. I already knew from the beginning that this guy was going to die. It's a typical redemption arc. He makes his ultimate sacrifice to save his daughter. Like, it's so predictable, which there's nothing wrong with predictability, but I knew it was coming. Just let's get on with this so we can get on with the movie already. So he heads to the back as the sappy music plays, and his daughter screams for him. And he has flashbacks to his daughter's birth as his eyes start to turn zombie white. And he has smiles, remembering about his daughter, and then he lets himself dramatically, slowly fall off the back of the train. And a kind of cool shadow shot. I mean, I know they do it so they don't have to actually show the body. They could just probably CGI the shadow, which is a very easy effect to do. It probably doesn't look bad doing it that way, because you're just doing a shadow.
Yeah.
There's some decent cinematography. So Sok's gone. We get more train establishing shots for some reason. And the train reaches a barricade in front of a tunnel with zombie corpses strewn about. It looks like the two are going to have to hop off the Midnight Express and hoof it the rest of the way. Also, I hope that was the name of the train from RE0, because I'm not looking it up. Uh-oh, though. Sung keels over for a second. Is it zombie baby time? Look, I already said it's not happening, people. I'm sorry. I wish it would have happened. I wish we could have had a humanoids from the deep, ending zombie fish monster baby moment, but it's not happening. So they head into the darkness of the tunnel, and we cut to the other side with another barricade, this time manned by the military. So they see two people coming through the tunnel and radio it in. Due to the darkness, they are unable to verify if they are infected, so command radios back to shoot them. Now we have a tense scene as the shoulder grips his trigger on his rifle and prepares to shoot. Does this movie actually have the balls to be Night of the Living Dead? No, of course not. It's going to have a happy ending. Before the soldier can shoot, he hears Suwon singing. What is she singing? Why, it's the song she couldn't sing from the first act, of course, because everything you set up in the first act always pays off in the third, right? Just like when you throw that pizza dough in the air, it's gonna come back down in the third act.
So the song,
I know what it is.
It's Aloha Oi. It's a Hawaiian folk song.
Mm-hmm. So the soldiers hold their fire and rush out to rescue our 2 survivors, and then we roll credits. Thank God. That means I can skip past the last 4 minutes and 20 or so seconds of this film that is already way too long.
It means farewell to thee.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was Train to Busan. Do you have any fun facts for us before we take our last bite here, Scary Perry?
I do.
I feel like we need to have a name for the fun fact segment, like a clever name for it.
We'll figure out something.
Maybe somebody can call and leave us a voicemail or leave us something on Facebook or social media about what it should be called.
In real life, Sang used to be Sock's personal trainer.
Okay. You mean the guy that played Sang?
Yeah.
Isn't my dong Sock or what? Siak.
Yeah. And Gongwu is the protagonist.
Yeah. So he was his personal trainer or whatever.
Personal trainer, yeah.
That's interesting.
This is the 6th highest grossing domestic film in South Korea. The word zombie is mentioned only once in this film. There's an animated prequel to this movie called Seoul Station.
Yes.
It was released less than 1 month after this movie. There's a sequel to this movie called Peninsula. It was released in 2020. The film grossed $98.5 million worldwide. In the United States, it grossed $2.2 million. The train obviously was going from Seoul to Busan. That's 453 kilometers or 281.5 miles. So maybe that's why that movie took so long. All right. Anyways, so the zombie movements in the film, they're based on the game 7 Ways to Die. They're also based on, I think it's in the anime, the dolls in the anime Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
And also from the video game Silent Hill, the nurses from Silent Hill. I think they made it, but there's not a lot of information I can find on it. A U.S. version of the movie.
Yeah.
It was going to be called The Last Train to New York. And it was supposed to come out when Evil Dead Rise came out, actually. But it was removed off the schedule.
Yeah, I knew there was a American remake in the works.
Yeah, Warner Brothers.
Oh, well, Warner Brothers. Another one of those companies that's having a bit of financial trouble right now, so.
Okay. Gong Yu, the protagonist, main character. He's kind of the guy in the show Squid Game that invites people to participate in Squid Game.
Oh, is he in that show? He
Yeah.
plays a character in that show?
Because they play this, it's like this.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with a lot of Korean cinema to know who the big actors are, so.
This like paper game, but this is all outside of where the Squid Game takes place.
I got you.
And it's like betting because these people are all like betting. Like she's like, I could bet you I beat you in this. And then afterwards he gives them this card to call if they want to play something more,
Gotcha.
dangerous. So lastly, it has a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes critic score is at a 94%, and the audience score is at an 89%. And those are the facts I have.
Well, with that, it's time to take the last bite. Train to Busan has been hyped by the mainstream since it first released. And whenever something obtains mass popularity quickly like that, tends to be a bit off-putting to me. Typically, if someone tells me something is great when it comes to modern cinema or anything in general, I'm hardwired to rebuff this and assume that most likely isn't and avoid watching it. Look, the only opinions I trust are those of a select few horror YouTubers and my brother and J-Bones. Although lately those two have been hit or miss, and I'm beginning to have my doubts about their opinions too. But when J-Bones picked this movie for his patron-sponsored review, wink, 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 I put aside my prejudice and went in with an open mind. So does Train to Busan live up to the hype? Well, not really by a long shot. Granted, it does have a few things going for it. For the most part, it's definitely a well-shot film, but I wouldn't say the cinematography as a whole is super amazing. It's well done, but doesn't blow me away. There are some decent practical effects in it. Like I said, the zombies look good. Some of the supporting characters are enjoyable, and the premise of the plot of zombies on a train is clever, if not, it's been done on a Resident Evil game before, but still a clever plot and hasn't been done in film yet. However, it has some glaring flaws. While I appreciate the sped up zombie footage practical effect, it looks really jittery and doesn't quite mesh and fit in with the regular speed footage where the zombies are limited to human speeds. A lot of the CGI doesn't hold up very well, and while I understand modern low-budget movies need to lean on cost-effective CGI to stay low-budget and be able to be profitable, if not done well, it just doesn't look good. It can be quite jarring. As I stated earlier in the plot discussion, while many practical effects from back in the day haven't aged well either, they have a certain charm to their tangibility that bad CGI lacks. As for our protagonist Sock, I just really can't get into his redemption arc. There's nothing wrong with the predictability of it. I know where it's going. I know he's going to make a sacrifice to save his daughter. But he doesn't really do anything early on to make him at least a little bit likable. But it's still an extremely flawed character. Plus, the first 20 minutes used to give us his backstory is a slog to get through, as are several other slow moments in the film. If you're going to make the runtime of your movie well over 90 minutes, I always say you better have a good reason to, and I don't feel Train to Busan does. These problems could be easily fixed if you just start the story at the train station and do a little bit of a rewrite here. Could make Sang our hero. All you need to do is expand on him being a bit of like a reluctant father. Have him have some self-doubts that he's not ready to be a father. Not sure if he's up to the task. You swap his sacrifice with Sok's, still giving Sok a redemption arc as a supporting character. You could quickly establish him as being a bad father with what he simply says on the train to his daughter, and easily trim 30 minutes out of this film. Plus, that has the film start right at the action, where you start to see the little hints of the zombie apocalypse happening off the train. I know you probably need a bit of exposition with the biochemical thing, but you can still have that sprinkled in with Sok throughout the movie. And that would help hook you in the first 9 to 10 minutes of the film, rather than have to wait for 30 minutes to finally have the action start to happen, by which time I don't feel very invested in the story. As for the end, you then have Sang get bitten and then give his wife the name of their daughter before leaping off the train as that last final sacrifice, full redemption arc moment for him. Finally ready to be a dad, but never getting the chance to. I think it would have been a more impactful ending that way. And while the actual ending is still a bit of a tearjerker, I think this one would have been much more effective. Unfortunately, Sang's fate in the real version is very predictable as well. I wasn't sad when it happened. I knew it was going to happen. I was just mad that they killed off the best character. But I digress. As for the bad dubbing in the film, while many of you probably think I should have just watched the subtitled version and will say it's better, my experience with Italian cinema has made me appreciate the art of bad dubbing, and it won't affect my rating of the film in the slightest. Now, I have seen some people online claim that Train to Busan is the best zombie movie ever. Really? Better than George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead? That's a tall order to fill. Certainly one Delores wouldn't be able to handle. Still waiting on her pancakes. And this is a problem with making a serious zombie film. Romero's original Dead trilogy already covered so much of that genre and the aspects of it quite well. From survivors turning on each other and having to deal with loved ones turning and having to put them down, etc. It's just been done. So if you're going to try to make a serious zombie film, you better make sure it's phenomenal. Otherwise, why would I want to watch it over Romero's 3 masterpieces? As a brief aside, that's why it's much easier to make a fun, cheesy, lighthearted zombie horror comedy, of which there are many good examples. So where does that leave Train to Busan? Well, I have my criticisms of it that I've listed. Overall, it's just okay. I'm going to give this one a respectable, if not super great rating. Mainly so I don't have to deal with the fan outrage and get chewed out over it, although I suspect you hardcore fans of it will do that anyways. It certainly isn't the best zombie movie. Heck, it probably wouldn't even crack my top 15 or 20 favorite zombie movies. And let me put it to you this way. I'd rather watch Hell of the Living Dead over Train to Busan any day. Yes, I just said I would rather watch a Bruno Mattei Dawn of the Dead ripoff with hilariously bad dubbing. Puts this dubbing to shame, actually. It's very bad. Some of the slowest moving zombies ever that they're comical, and a 99-minute runtime that's probably at least 30 minutes of stock footage of animals and natives. Then watch Train to Busan. And before you say anything, hey, don't knock it. It has some fun effects, boobs, and it's so bad it's good. But we'll have more to say about bad movies next time. In conclusion, Train to Busan is a competent, if mediocre movie. Having watched it once, I probably won't rewatch this one again for a long time. With my overall rating, I give it 3 pancakes. It's just an okay, decent, if not spectacular movie. It's not the end-all, be-all zombie killer. Pun intended. And with that, I send it over to you, Scary Perry, for your The Last Bite. I apologize for mine being so long, but I had a lot to say there, so a bit longer than normal. Plus, I wanted to put my rewrite out there of how you could make the most likable character the main hero, make it more impactful, still have Sok get a redemption arc as a kind of a dick, but he slowly, rises up to the occasion.
Yeah,
but so go ahead, take your last bite.
Yeah, when I go into it, so we'll just start there with Sok and Sang. Well, I get, it's almost like you have 2 protagonists, like butting heads.
Sort of.
Yeah. But I feel just the way that they both sacrifice for their family, to me it meshed well when I'm, watched it. While maybe predictable, I didn't find it, cheesy.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with predictability in movies. It's just I didn't feel invested in it. You know what I mean? And
then when I keep going through into dubbing, I don't mind the dubbing. I don't I've watched Squid Game so many times in dubbed version. I don't know. Somehow watching this, I didn't watch them in succession or anything like that. But to me, I didn't really notice any oddness with the dubbing. I don't know.
There's
I know, but there's
some comical bits at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you could tell it's not dubbed the best at the beginning when the guy starts talking
Yeah,
to the
the
other guy in
beginning.
the truck. I'm just like, that's kind of funny. But that's actually kind of added charm. Like I said, I don't mind bad dubbing. It's kind of comical.
I didn't mind it. There's a little lull in this movie. It's a little long, even though at that time, if this came out today, this is probably the standard of how long this movie would be. Almost 10 years ago, not quite, but because usually the standard in movies was an hour and 20 minutes, right?
Hour and a half, 90 minutes.
Yeah, hour 20, hour 30. So yeah, I didn't think the acting was that bad.
No, the acting was okay.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with the acting.
I know that that was his breakout role. He's been in English movie, but for I think mainly in South Korea, or just in general breakout role. Although I don't know what he's been in since. But anyways, the soundtrack I didn't like very much.
Yeah,
it just seemed kind of
stock.
Yeah,
it was very stock. Yeah.
Some of the CGI was a bit,
There's a problem with CGI. Sometimes you have to look at it as the era, judge it by the era, but I still don't think that holds up.
When they're gang pawing like that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for me.
No.
When they were kind of,
I don't think they needed that one on the train. You know what I mean? Where it looks weird and comical. It's just you could just have a bunch of people running for it and you get the same effect.
A cool last thing, but
yeah, at the end I don't mind with the zombie sled.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I'm talking about when they're in the train and you get that massive throng. That one was just I don't think you needed that. You could just had 10, 15 people running and you get the same effect.
I mean, and I thought it was a cool scene with the lights go out because they're in the tunnel.
Yeah.
And how they kind of sneak through and stuff like that. Yeah, as your term, some people say this is the greatest zombie movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I saw that. I'm like, who is saying that?
I'm gonna say heck no. But for a modern zombie flick, even though I bet it's almost 10 years old.
Year in 2016, so it's 7 years old.
Yeah. I don't think this needed to be comedic like a Zombie Land or anything like that.
No, but if you're making a serious zombie movie, like I said, I always judge it for the first 3 George Romero films. You have to do something. That's my complaint with The Walking Dead. Not to interrupt you here, but George Romero managed to do in 3 movies what The Walking Dead continues to do through many seasons and many comic books. And it's just I don't need to watch this because George Romero already did all this and he did it better and he did it in a more concise amount of time.
I get it.
To interrupt you, go ahead.
I don't compare it because it's something different, and especially it's set in
I get it, but
a foreign land.
Like I said, you need to do something. There are other serious zombie movies that work, although they do have comical elements to them. I think Zombie is a good serious one. Probably City of the Living Dead and Beyond are other good serious ones, but they also have comical elements just because of the Italian and the no-sense logic nature of some of the confusing plots in those movies. Continue.
Also in this movie, there's some comic relief with saying and stuff like that.
Yeah, it has its lighthearted moments, but I don't know. I said, it just doesn't jump.
I feel like it's a good, solid zombie flick, in my opinion. I don't think it's. I don't have this listing ranking. I'm not putting it up there with Dawn of the Dead up there, Day of the Dead. I'm not putting it up there. But as it stands, it's something. To me, I see it differently. I don't compare it. So to me, it was a solid zombie movie. Like you said, it's good, but it's not great. And when I'm saying it's good, it's good.
It's just okay.
But it isn't exceptional. So I'm going to say, I'm teetering. I'm going to say probably, I would definitely watch this again. And I would like to see the sequel, even though I hear it has nothing to do with it. And the prequel would be kind of cool. I have no idea how the US version is going to spin this one.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't have no idea who's in that. But, I think this is just a solid flick. And I think this director, this kind of just came out of nowhere, kind of for us, I guess. And I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5 cannolis. I enjoyed it. I just think it's a good flick.
Yeah.
There's some stuff. See, this makes me almost want to go down to 3.5 because some of the lullness and the soundtrack kind of take away from some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I'll just stay at it. I almost want to say, actually, you know what? I'm going to put it, this is a first here. I'm going to go 3.75.
Yeah, we don't do 0.75.
I can't do 3.75.
No, just do. It's either 0.5 or it's 4.
All right,
just make your call.
All right. Now
you could say with an asterisk that if I could, I'd give it a 3.6.
It's a solid movie. with an
asterisk
with
that
the
I would knock it
asterisk-
down a peg. Gotcha.
with the asterisk that it could possibly be knocked down a peg because of the soundtrack and its
gotcha.
longevity, or how long it is. It's a wrong
I
term.
gotcha.
So that's my last bite.
All right.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and I do recommend watching it. No, this is not something I would watch multiple times a year, but maybe once a year. Just fall on an
to
occasion.
me,
But
like with my grading scale, like a 4 and up is a classic. I really don't consider this a classic. It's just okay.
oh no, I don't.
I could see myself never watching this film again.
It's a good.
type deal.
I'd
rather watch a fun, cheesy zombie movie.
I
over
like-
this, like Video Dead or Hell of the Living Dead, that type of thing.
like in some of the stuff. Like I've seen different movies on like trains. Like Snowpiercer is one of my favorite movies, right? And it's not horror, but
Yeah, it's probably not even my favorite horror movie on a train.
I get it. That's fine.
Probably doesn't even top my top 3.
And this is a comparison. This is a whole different thing, the comparison thing. But I just think it's solid. If somebody asks me, should I watch this movie? I'm going to tell them, yes, watch this movie. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, so like if looking at my list of grades here, so like if I compare it to some other 3s that I gave, like compare it to Leprechaun, I'd rather watch Leprechaun than Train to Busan. It's just to me a more fun movie. I know you gave it 1.5, so that's
I wouldn't. Yeah.
New Year's Evil. I'd rather watch New Year's Evil than Train to Busan.
That's why we do this, Rock. Or Matt Pancaker. That's why we do this.
Hobgoblins. I'd rather watch Hobgoblins than Train to Busan.
I'd rather not.
The Stuff. I'd rather watch The Stuff. Christmas Evil.
I would rather watch The Stuff.
I'd rather watch Christmas Evil, and Christmas Evil's another one that's going to get reevaluated. That movie should be a 4. I'm calling it here. I'm changing it right now. Oh no, I got it reevaluated at 3.5. I'm taking it up to a 4.
The Stuff is so unique. That's
Evil.
That's why it's going to overtake
Christmas
this.
classic.
Is this unique in a way that zombies entertain? You're almost talking me down to a 3.5.
Hey, you can make whatever grade you want, man. We're allowed to have difference of opinion.
I
We're not
mean,
far off in opinion at 3 and 4.
You know what? I'll go down a little
No,
bit.
I gotta open up the Excel spreadsheet again.
I want to say no. I want to say it's a solid 3.5. But I'm saying if somebody has to watch this, yes, you should watch this movie. You should watch this movie. 3.5.
Yeah, it's probably worth watching at least once. I just don't feel the need.
It's very good, but it's not in that tier.
This is one of those
greatness.
ones where
Yeah.
if we had 0.75 ratings, I'd probably give it a 2.75.
Well, that's your opinion. But listen,
It's
but
just
did you hear what I said?
It doesn't do anything new.
I said it's very good, but it's not in that tier of greatness.
Gotcha.
It's not in the tier of the original Dawn of the Dead. You know what I mean?
Yes, I gotcha.
Okay. That's
But,
my point.
Yeah, for all the hype this was getting, I'm like, all right.
I don't remember the hype for it.
This movie's been hyped for
I
amongst
know-
horror
I
people.
know,
People talk about it all
by
the time.
then, you were following horror then. I mean, I was following horror, but I might have heard about it maybe in passing, and then I always heard it's a good movie, but I didn't personally see the hype on social media or anything like that.
People, in movie reviews and everything, they hype it up, and I'm just like, that doesn't really live up to the hype for me.
Well, you could tell that almost, kind of, by the critic score versus
this audience score.
Audience
has
score. I mean, it's close.
Did you give us the critic score?
Yeah, 94 to 89. It's close, but
that's why I hate those critic scores. Because if you bring up the original Dawn of the Dead, I bet it's lower than that.
What the
score?
You want to know? Okay, hold on.
I bet it's considerably lower.
Obviously,
Night of the Living Dead might actually be really high up there, but Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, I guarantee you.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, it gave me the sequel.
Yeah,
or not sequel, the remake. Excuse me. It's 93%.
Yeah, really.
And 90% audience.
I'm actually surprised because
pretty similar.
Day of the Dead probably got shit on though. There's a lot of zombie movies that I'd put up higher than this. I see the super high ratings, and then I see other movies that are legitimate.
Day of the Dead, 86% by the critics, 75% by the fans.
Wow. Somebody must be raising up these ratings. See, maybe I have a bunch of bot accounts that I'm going through. I finally did what I'm saying. I'm going through and botting a lot of these horror movies up. Because it's about time that some of those get better ratings. But I know, I'm not too worried about looking up any more reviews. I see other movies that are legitimately good movies, and yeah, I could have told you that. That's pretty universally loved.
Yeah,
but
I
see these other movies that we both know they're good horror movies, and and then you see the awful IMDb scores and
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense.
I don't think
to
horror
me.
gets this.
Horror
genre does
horror
not
gets
get
shit on by critics a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't. I agree. It completely doesn't get justice in the by many in the review.
That's
world.
like with a lot of this mainstream modern horror and this elevated horror. You see like people gush over it for whatever reason, and like there's good horror movies before. It's just people shit on them. So,
I get that,
and I'm just like, yeah, these movies they're not as good as some of these older
yeah,
movies.
I understand, but I don't. To me, this was different enough to be a very good movie. Not a great movie.
I just think it's okay
in the greatness category.
Yeah,
but
I gotcha. I respect your opinion. I just think it's okay. To me, it was nothing special.
That's fine.
It was competently made, but it's just okay.
I respect your thing. That's
Yep.
why we do this.
Yep. Anyways, got anything else to add on Train to Busan before we hop off the terror train one more time?
I'm off the train, sir.
As always, you can find us on social media. I'm at the Mad Pancaker pretty much on everything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. I'm on Threads now.
It's not Twitter though anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's X.
X.
It's like Generation X.
Elon Musk is giving you the X.
That's right. And then what did people call it? Xing now or crossing? is the Xing pronounced like when they put it on the railroad thing? It's like railroad Xing, like crossing.
I haven't heard.
Is that what we're going to call tweets now?
Okay.
When people say Xing, it's like, do you mean X?
He's sending an X to you.
Not that anybody's using Threads anymore, but I am on there.
When it changed, I was like, I thought I had a virus on my phone. I was like, what does this app?
Did somebody find my encyclopedic knowledge of porn stars and put this app on here?
Yeah, the X app, yeah.
You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/MadPancaker. We appreciate your support if you can give it. Like I said, $5 tier, you get a spoiler intro. $10 tier, you can suggest a movie.
Yeah,
hopefully more perks on the way.
I've heard a couple people want to suggest some movies, and I told them about the tier.
Hey, $10 tier guarantees it gets done. We always open to suggestions. You could suggest in comments on our social medias. I don't know if you can leave comments on these. I think you could do it on the website. We're always open to suggestions. They'll get added to the pipeline, but they aren't high priority. Whereas, if you Patreon, you'll get bumped up. You'll be trying to fit in the schedule sooner rather than later.
That's how you get bumped up on the list.
Right.
But
this was supposed to be our May episode.
Speaking of
for Zom May,
yeah,
that's never happened.
Speaking of social media, didn't something recently happen? Some kind of poll?
Yeah, well, I'm not at that point.
Well,
yet.
I thought you were. I was trying to segue you into it.
Would you look at this?
Look
Plugs,
at this guy.
Voicemail giveaway ? All right, so
giveaway.
Yeah, so. You can also go to themadpancaker.com to check out all the content there. All of our episodes are there. You get the short stacks. I think the link to the YouTube channel is there as well. Haven't done too much with the YouTube channel yet, but more on the way. Hopefully we get... I want to take the old episodes of the podcast and put them on YouTube if that's your preferred listening app of choice for podcasts as well. But you can leave us a voicemail, and you can do that at, I think it's on Spotify. It's very confusing now because Anchor, which was owned by Spotify, changed to Spotify for podcasters, so the link is all jacked up. But if you look at Spotify for podcasters, just look for, I'm not sure if it's under the International House of Horror, or if the Earl has my username, the Mad Pancaker, in there. It might be for Spotify for podcasters. But the easiest way is you can also leave a voicemail at themadpancaker.com. And try to incentivize you guys to leave some voicemails here. So recently, they're for future upcoming hotcakes, but I have some movies that have some digital codes for digital movie downloads.
Okay.
And I have no use for these things, so give back to you guys a little bit. But if you want one of these codes, I got a couple. I think I have one for Scream 6, Evil Dead Rise, the new Resident Evil CGI movie, Resident Evil Dead Island. And I think I have another one for My Best Friend's a Vampire, an old 80s horror rom-com. Pretty fun.
It's on digital. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Another Vestron video pickup. I'll save that for a future hotcake because I did watch it. And I'm not so sure how the laws with giveaways work, but how we'll do it is if we get a bunch, what we'll do is we'll pick our maybe top 3 best voicemails. So you could do anything. You can ask us anything you want. You can give your comments about some of our reviews, comments about some of our other episodes, and we'll award them the best 3. And so I won't play your personal information on air, but leave an email or something so I can screenshot it and email it to you. You don't have to give me your entire full name, address, or anything, but just some way of contacting you.
We need your social security number.
Yeah. So help quit my job faster, steal your identity. I'm just kidding. And before that, we got one last thing to talk about. So last year for August, and this episode that we're recording now will probably come out in August. I don't know when our actual August episode will come out. Hopefully, maybe if I do it right, I can squeeze it in at the end. But we have the return of Awful August. Awful August 2, The Return. So,
Electric Boogaloo.
and yeah, so in that theme, in that regard, since it's the second Awful August, I wanted to do awful direct sequels, so number 2 in the entry of the franchise, to horror movies. And you could have voted on the social media on my Facebook page. I also had the poll up on Twitter. Patreon, this is the other important thing about Patreon. Patreon votes count for double. And you can vote on all 3 of those sites. So theoretically, if you have Patreon, you can get 4 votes in. Patreon votes count for double, so that's always important. So that's our exclusive to you. And eventually we will have Patreon exclusive polls as well, where you can only vote on Patreon. But we haven't done that yet because we're still a small audience. We don't want to exclude anybody. Once we have a bit more of a Patreon community, we'll do Patreon-only polls and then polls open to the public. But Patreon polls will always have double votes if they're also tied into a regular poll. So you could have chosen from, and let me see if I can remember all the movies here. As usual, I will list the ones that didn't win, and then I'll tease you with the one that did win. So first up was, and this is one I was really pulling for because I want an excuse to watch this movie. I don't know if it's technically so bad it's good, but I heard it's kind of a train wreck. Exorcist 2, The Heretic. So, Linda Blair's questionable career decisions continue. She was in one really good movie, and then she became a B actress.
A long time after the first one when they made it?
She's not a kid anymore in that one. I don't know how adult she is. She's at least a teenager in her late teens. She could be in her 20s by then. I'm not sure. I didn't look up the age difference that she's supposed to be. I think it came out in the 80s, and I know in the 80s she was already doing college-age roles like in Hell Night and stuff like that. So it's feasible. Another runner-up was The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. Which was kind of a remake. Wes Craven needed money.
Not the sequel of the remake.
Yes, not the sequel to the remake, because I think there is one of those. Yeah. But the original, it was a made-for-TV movie, if I remember correctly. Directed by Wes Craven. It was another one of those I need the money type things, if I remember correctly. Comically. Now, you know what? I'm gonna leave out that little tidbit about it, but there's a funny part, because I think I'm going to use it as a spoiler very soon. So I'm not going to mention... I'm going to buck the trend of mentioning the spoiler in the episode of the spoiler. Yeah, that's another one. I watched it once. It was okay. Kind of another bad sequel compared to the first. Then, of course, infamously, we have Troll 2. Very famously, Italians are well known for making sequels to movies that have nothing to do with the original and are just trying to cash in on the name. Why they chose the Charles Band-produced Troll... I don't know, but it's very famously a so bad it's good movie. Another choice was Hobgoblins 2, which was kind of just put on there for posterity's sake. I definitely didn't want that one to win because whereas the first one so bad it's good. I don't want it to win
for reasons.
For the first one being so bad it's good and fun.
No,
it tries to
so
capture.
Bad it's so bad.
It tries to capture on that and it just doesn't work and it's kind of a boring film.
I mean, you could have put Leprechaun 2 on this one. Probably crap too.
No, Leprechaun 2 is great. Then the last choice was The Rage, Carrie 2, a sequel made so many years. It came out in, 1999 or something like that? 96, 99?
Yep.
One of those. Upside Down 6 or Upside Down 9, one of those.
What?
Well, it was something from what I've heard. I wasn't really rooting for that one. There was a lot of you guys that voted for it, though. Just because it's probably another one of those just kind of bland, dumb sequels that, the fun thing about watching a bad movie is sometimes it's so bad it's good and then it's entertaining. From what I've gathered about The Rage 2, I've never watched it, but I've seen some people talk about it. It's just not that great. And also, I probably should have thought this after the fact before putting on the list. I tried looking it up and see if it's streaming anywhere, and it wasn't. I'm like, well, if this one wins, we're gonna, knock this one out of contention because, if Exorcist 2 wasn't streaming anywhere, I would have ponied up the money to buy that.
I mean, I would have rented it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but I'm not spending money to watch The Rage Carrie 2.
Or I would have went somewhere else,
Yeah, I don't have quite as much access as you do to those weird ARG streaming sites. ARG, me matey. So that leaves us with our winner, and it might not show on the Facebook, but there's a lot of Patreon support for it. So that, hey, Patreon, it always pulls out. You guys need that excuse to get $2, get you in on those polls, double the votes. So we'll find out that next time your sister is a werewolf. What?
Is she? I don't have a sister.
Are you sure Scary Pod doesn't have a sister?
Oh, he might.
All right. Well, with that, until next time, check please.
Delores!
Disclaimer. Turns out those movie codes are only good in the US, so the giveaway will only be for legal residents of the US. However, for all of our foreign listeners, please still feel free to leave us a voicemail because we still want to hear what you have to say. Thanks again.
The International House of Horror.